Chapter 1823. Ning, she seemed to have guessed Liang Feixing's question. She said slowly, I seem to have brought a lot of trouble to everyone after I retired. I just heard about what happened to Jiang Mai recently. After all, it's all because of me. No, it has nothing to do with you. It's all because of some idiots, Liang Feixing hurriedly said. He had never expected that Ning she would suddenly appear when Golden Era was at its end and abandoned by the group. She even offered to make a comeback. Ning Shi's comeback was not just a simple one. She was also representing Big Boss and Lu Group. Lady Boss, you don't know this, but a few days ago I was talking to old Sue and the others about how great it would be if you could come back. Madam, are you sure you want to make a comeback? Then who are you going to hire as your agent? Shall we invite Lin Jiji back? Liang Feixing asked a series of questions. Sister Jiji has something to do at home. Don't bother her. Let's hire Brother Tao. Ning, she said. Old Sue. Madam, are you sure? Holy shit. That guy will be crazy with joy if he knows about it. Liang Feixing was so excited that his expression suddenly froze. Then, he glanced at the direction of a certain wife-protecting demon beside him with great apprehension. Then, Sir Boss, he also agreed to let you come back? Ning, she hugged Lu Tingxiao's arm. Well, my sweetheart has agreed. Just don't tire yourself out. I'm not in a good condition now. Huh? Madam, are you pregnant? Liang Feixing's eyes widened as he stared at Ning Shi's belly. Ning Shi's mouth twitched. I was seriously ill, and I'm recuperating. Oh, I see. Boss, madam, you don't have to worry about the workload. Madam, you only need to move your little finger, and you can make their thighs thick. You don't need to worry about it. You've come back this time to bring us to reclaim our country and sweep across the world. Ning Shi chuckled. Director Liang, you have too much confidence in me. Lady Boss, what I said is absolutely the truth. Oh, when are we going to start? Liang Feixing asked eagerly. Ning Shi thought for a while. As soon as possible. Tomorrow. Take me to Brother Tao first. No problem. A quiet night. Ning Shi kissed little treasure, who was coaxed to sleep, and then went to Lu Tingxiao's side to sleep. She stuck to his arms and stroked his fur. Sweetheart, don't worry. I really know what I'm doing. I definitely won't let myself get tired. My body has recovered by more than half. She had planned to rest for a few more days, but she was worried that the longer it dragged on, the more disadvantageous it would be for Jiang Mai, so she wanted to solve it as soon as possible. Lu Tingxiao didn't speak, so Ning Shi kept rubbing and kissing him. In the end, the man couldn't take it anymore. You've mostly recovered? After that, he carried the troublesome girl from the bed and went to the guest room next door. Ning, she felt that her body was suddenly suspended in the air and then gently landed on the soft bedding. Under the moonlight, the man in front of her seemed to have a ball of fire in his eyes. That ball of fire was getting closer and closer. Suddenly, along with the burning temperature on his lips, she felt as if she was going to be burned together with him. Oh, was she finally going to complete the nuptial chamber that she had been putting off until now? Their tongues were entangled, and the kiss was getting deeper and deeper, as if he was going to suck away her soul. Ning Shi's chest trembled from the depths of her body, and her pink toes curled up at once. It was just a moment of foreplay, but Ning Shi already felt as if she was a fish on a dry riverbank, and her breathing began to become uneven. After a long time, the man finally left her lips, and his face was full of suppressed emotions. Are you still sure that your physical strength is enough? Ning Shi buried her head in the man's arms, and her claws scratched the man's body unwillingly. How can this be the same? This has nothing to do with physical strength, okay? Even if you smile at me, my heart will beat 180, not to mention that you're treating me like this. Lu Tingxiao was stunned. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry at this sudden flattery. What kind of nonsense is this? This is the truth. Chapter 1824. Because of the so-called stamina, the room wasn't fully occupied. Ning Shi secretly decided to increase the progress of her rehabilitation. It was more reliable for her to force herself on him. They had already reached that point last night, but Lu Tingxiao actually held himself back when he saw that she was physically exhausted. She didn't know if it was her imagination, but sometimes she really felt that Lu Tingxiao seemed to be a little too careful with her in this regard, however, this feeling of being completely respected and cherished still touched her every time. If that person wasn't him, she probably wouldn't be so intimate with a man in her life. The next day, early in the morning, Liang Feixing personally drove over to pick her up. Before leaving, in order to avoid trouble, Ningxi temporarily took off the wedding ring on her finger and wore it around her neck with a silver necklace. Madam, that Brother Su hasn't been in a good state recently. When you see him later, don't be too surprised. Liang Feixing gave Ningxi a heads up in advance, worried that Ningxi would change her mind when she saw Su Tao in that state. As a friend, he naturally hoped that Su Tao could seize this only chance to turn things around. It's okay. Ningxi didn't seem to care. After half an hour of driving, the two stopped in front of an old apartment building with a cramped environment. Brother Su sold all his assets and rented a house here in order to nurture his new subordinates. It wasn't easy for him to bring them out, but he didn't expect them to run away and even bite back at him. Because of this, Brother Su is a little depressed. He's been drinking and getting drunk. A few days ago, he was even slapped in the face by a small assistant at the bar. I think his mood is even worse now. Liang Feixing sighed as he carefully led Ningxi upstairs. As soon as they walked to the door, they saw things being thrown out of the apartment. Then, they heard a harsh and sharp voice coming from inside. You shameless drunkard. Top manager? Big stars Lu Xiaoro and Yin Yu were both groomed by you? Top manager, is this how you behave? I'm telling you, if you don't pay the rent tomorrow, get out of here. After a series of banging noises, the plump landlady in a nightgown walked out of the house arrogantly. When she saw the man with an extraordinary temperament and the woman wearing sunglasses beside him, her expression paused for a moment. She curiously looked back at the two of them a few times before walking away while muttering, Ahem, lady boss, I'm sorry. Please slow down. This way. Liang Feixing didn't expect that the reality was worse than he expected. He carefully kicked away the debris at his feet and led Ningxi into the house. As soon as he entered the house, there was a pungent smell of alcohol. Everything in the house was smashed, and it was a mess. Su Tao was lying unconscious on a pile of debris like mud. Liang Feixing pinched his nose and kicked Su Tao's leg. Old Su, wake up. Wake up and take a look. Look who's here. Su Tao impatiently waved the bottle in his hand. Get out of here, even if the king of heaven comes. I don't want to see him. Liang Feixing glanced at Ningxi next to him awkwardly and hurriedly snatched the bottle from Su Tao's hand and threw it away. Look carefully, Ningxi. Ningxi is back. She wants you to be her manager. Hearing Ningxi's name, Su Tao froze for a moment and then laughed so hard that tears almost came out. Ha! Ha ha! Liang Zi, you're even more drunk than me. Ningxi is back. Ningxi wants me to be her manager. Ha! If Ningxi is back, I'll let you fuck me. Liang Feixing. Thank you. I'm not interested in you. Chapter 1825. Thank you, but I'm not interested in you. Su Tao was furious. Fuck, why aren't you interested in me? Do you know how many male and female actors I used to be? Do you know how many male and female actors wanted to sleep with me? Fuck. Now one or two of them are saying that I slept with them and forced them to sleep with me. I won't sleep with them even if you give them to me. Liang Feixing looked at him with disgust and covered his face speechlessly. Ningxi couldn't help laughing out loud. Hearing a girl's chuckle suddenly coming from the room, Su Tao, who was cursing, suddenly fell silent as if someone had pinched his throat. Only then did he realize that there was someone behind Liang Feixing. Ningxi held back her laughter, took off her sunglasses, and looked at the man who was lying in a pile of junk. She said softly, Brother Tao. Su Tao was still in a daze. Director Liang didn't lie to you. I really want you to be my agent. Ningxi continued. Fuck you, Liang Feixing. After a while, Su Tao let out an earth-shattering curse and stood up abruptly, causing the mess around him to fall to the ground. The man didn't bother to help her up. Like a spinning top, he pulled out the only clean chair from the pile of messy things, wiped it with a bedsheet, and quickly pushed it in front of Ningxi. Sit. Gotta she please sit? I'm sorry, the house is too messy. With that, He pulled Liang Feishing, who was watching the show, into a corner. Why didn't you tell me earlier? Liang Feishing smiled. If I had told you earlier, you wouldn't have had the chance to give yourself to me. Fuck off. Su Tao cursed and kicked the man. When he turned to Ning Shi, he immediately put on a flattering expression. I'm not dreaming, am I? Movie Queen Ning, you're really back. Are you gonna make a comeback? Yes, I am. But, why me? Are you sure you want me to be your agent? Su Tao looked at himself, awkwardly. Damn that Liang Feishing. If he had reminded him earlier, he wouldn't have left such a bad impression on the goddess. Liang Feishing seemed to have guessed what he was thinking. He crossed his arms in front of his chest and raised his eyebrows. Stop muttering. Do you think Ningxi doesn't know what you look like now? The photos of your terrible uncle are all over the place. Brother Tao, you're the one who knows the company's situation the best. I think you're the most suitable candidate. What's more, I admire your loyalty. Ningxi said. Su Tao was startled when he heard that, and his eyes were slightly hot. If Brother Tao is fine with it, we can start arranging the work now. Is there anything you need me to do now? When Su Tao heard this, his cloudy eyes immediately became sharp. He finally realized that she was serious. He finally realized that all of this was real and not a dream. He had actually waited for the chance to turn things around. Su Tao wiped his face and quickly pulled out a stack of documents from a drawer. He spoke quickly. I ran around for a month before I finally managed to get Lu Xiaoro the Wildy skincare advertisement. In the end, she was poached by Starlight, and it was all Starlight's credit. They signed a contract this morning. Even the time was set by me back then. She nodded and stood up. Let's go and get it. Let's start with this advertisement. Chapter 1826. Go get it. Start with this advertisement. It was a simple sentence, but it instantly ignited the fire in Su Tao's heart. Seeing that Su Tao had recovered, Liang Feishing breathed a sigh of relief. The matchmaking mission is done. I have to get to work. Now that Ningxi had returned, he had to prepare a series of public relations plans. Ningxi nodded. Call me if you need anything. The three of them discussed for a while and began to work separately. Su Tao used the fastest speed to make himself look like a human, then immediately brought Ningxi to Wildy's branch in China. Being the spokesperson of an international A-list brand was undoubtedly a dream for every female star who wanted to be gilded in their career. Lu Xiaoro was only missing a few big-name endorsements and awards to be able to advance further, which was why he spent so much effort to help her get this endorsement. Because Lu Xiaoro was completely different from Ningxi, Yisudong did not have high hopes for her, nor was he willing to waste his energy on her. It could be said that all the resources she had were fought for with his life. Take this endorsement, for example. He had put aside his pride, pulled countless strings, and paid for all the social engagements out of his own pocket. In the end, it ended up like this. How could he not lose control of his emotions? He knew that this was all Xing Hui's doing. He had offended Xing Hui too much previously, and the other party had been waiting for the final blow. Wildy's company building. The person in charge of Wildy, Parker, Lu Xiaoro, and Lu Xiaoro's new manager, Chung Yibin, were chatting happily in the office. Chung Yibin said earnestly, Sigh, nowadays there are a lot of empty vases. There aren't many artists like our Xiaoro who are unique and recognizable. It's not that I'm boasting, but there's a saying in China, there's a scholar within. A veteran brand like Wildy needs a representative like our Xiaoro who has a good temperament and connotation. Lu Xiaoro's appearance was not outstanding, but she had a very comfortable scholarly aura. She was like a clear spring in the current fickle entertainment industry, which was why Su Tao had his eyes on her back then. Sure enough, after Lu Xiaoro played a few classic roles with her unique temperament, she immediately attracted a large number of die-hard fans, which also proved Su Tao's keen eyes. Parker said with a smile, Haha, we're also interested in this special trait of Miss Xiaoro. Parker was obviously very satisfied with Lu Xiaoro. Although it was Su Tao who used this excuse to convince him, it made no difference to him. As long as the results were the same, it did not matter to him who Lu Xiaoro's manager would be. Besides, Starlight was much stronger than Golden Era, and Lu Xiaoro joining Starlight was more beneficial to them. Chung Yibin looked at Lu Xiaoro, and when he thought of Su Tao's exasperated expression, he felt a burst of joy in his heart. Director Parker, if there are no other problems, shall we sign the contract today? I've already booked a table at the Grand Ju Hotel to celebrate our happy cooperation. Parker nodded and flipped open a thick stack of endorsement contracts. Of course, this is halfway through the conversation. There was a knock on the door. The assistant pushed the door open apologetically and walked to Parker's side, looking a little awkward. "What is it?" Parker asked in a low voice, somewhat displeased at being disturbed. Chapter 1827. Director, Mr. Su is here. The assistant looked at Lu Xiaoro and Chung Yibin and spoke hesitantly. Su Tao. Parker frowned. Lu Xiaoro and Chung Yibin looked at each other, frowning as well. "Yes. What's he doing here?" Parker asked. The assistant coughed awkwardly. He said, "He's here to sign a contract." Before Parker could speak, Chung Yibin laughed. "Sign a contract? What's he going to use to sign a contract?" "I think he brought a female artist with him." The assistant replied. "Female artist? Which one?" Lu Xiaoro probed. She did not remember Su Tao having any artists under him. She's wearing a mask and sunglasses. "I don't know who she is. Maybe she's a newcomer under him?" The assistant guessed. Chung Yibin snorted coldly with a face full of anger. This drunkard must be drunk. He actually brought a random person here and forced him to sign a contract? What does he think this place is? Lu Xiaoro wore a sad expression as she replied, "Big Brother Tao is probably still unhappy about my departure." Chung Yibin's face darkened. "Unhappy? How dare he be unhappy? Xiaoro, you're such a good seedling, but you've been held back by him until now. You would have been famous if you'd come to Starlight earlier. You wouldn't have to suffer so much and waste your youth." Lu Xiaoro pursed her lips, her face filled with resentment. She had always believed that she was where she was today because of herself. Under Chung Yibin's constant brainwashing, she became even more convinced. She blamed Su Tao and Golden Era for dragging her down, but she did not consider that if Su Tao had not discovered her, she would have never been able to make a name for herself. Parker was unhappy with Su Tao's pestering and spoke with a dark expression. "Ask him to leave. Tell him that I've decided to sign a contract with Miss Lu." "All right." The assistant nodded. Since Su Tao had given him a big red packet, he said casually, "By the way, Director, Mr. Su asked me to pass a message to you." He said, "What did he say?" Parker asked nonchalantly. "He said that if you insist on signing a contract with Miss Lu, you will lose the only chance to surpass SS," the assistant replied. The moment the assistant's voice fell, Parker's expression suddenly changed. As one of the top international brands, Boss was YLD's biggest competitor in the Hua Nation region. Almost every year, the sales volume was suppressed by Boss. As the director of the Hua Nation region, he would be hammered by the higher-ups in every meeting. This year, he was even given a strict order to surpass Boss. However, the spokesperson for Boss this year was the most popular female celebrity in China, Han Zixuan. No matter who he looked for, it was impossible for her to surpass Han Zixuan. Therefore, he was convinced by Su Tao and chose Lu Xiaoro. But now, Su Tao, who had personally persuaded him, told him that if he chose to sign a contract with Lu Xiaoro, he would lose his only chance to surpass the SS rank. Such contradictory words. Chung Yibin saw that Parker's expression wasn't right and hurriedly said, "Director Parker, don't listen to that guy's nonsense. He's at his wit's end and purposely said that to provoke you." What did he mean by losing his only chance to surpass the boss? Did he mean that he could surpass the boss just by signing a contract with him? What a fool's dream. Chapter 1828. Lu Xiaoro took the opportunity to speak up. "As far as I know, after Sister Yu and I left, Brother Tao doesn't have many people under him. Even in the entire Golden Era, there aren't many female artists that are presentable." Parker remained silent as he listened to Chung Yibin and Lu Xiaoro's conversation. He had to admit that Su Tao had completely grasped his weak spot. What Su Tao said was too impactful for him. After a long time, Parker stood up slowly under their gazes. "Mr. Chung, Ms. Lu, please wait for a moment. I'll go meet him and return shortly. Chung Yibin was displeased, but he did not show it. He smiled generously and said, Director Parker, you're so considerate. You've told him clearly to avoid any unnecessary trouble in the future. After Parker left in a hurry, Chung Yibin's face darkened and he slammed the coffee table in front of him. Su Tao, how dare you try to trip me up at a time like this? It seems like I've gone too easy on him. You're courting death. Lu Xiaoro quickly comforted him. Brother Bing, don't worry. He doesn't have any presentable artists under him. Even if he managed to trick Director Parker, he's just asking to be humiliated. Chung Yibin's eyes flashed fiercely. I'll settle the score with him after the contract is signed. Wildy's reception room was decorated with an artistic atmosphere. There were retro-colored glass windows, an embroidered sofa with ancient patterns, a white velvet carpet, camellias and peonies in a vase, and classic products of Wildy were displayed in a display cabinet. At this moment, she had already taken off her sunglasses and mask. She was sitting on the sofa and flipping through the album on the shelf. But Su Tao didn't do anything. He just stared at she like a miser staring at his huge treasure. It couldn't be helped. As long as he was a man, as long as he was a human, he would never be able to take his eyes off Ning Shi. The two did not wait for long before footsteps approached from outside the door. Soon, the sound of footsteps reached the door. With a click, the door was unlocked. Parker pushed the door open and walked in with a cold expression. Mr. Su, may I ask what exactly is the meaning of this? You were the one who recommended Lu Xiaoro to me. Even if she's not your artist now, you shouldn't deliberately sabotage her, Parker said angrily. In the next second, his gaze seemed to have its own consciousness as it was instantly attracted by the figure on the sofa. His suddenly contracted pupils were filled with an inconceivable light. Oh my God! Ning! Miss Ning! Su Tao was not surprised by Parker's dull reaction. He shrugged and said, Director Parker, I'm not contradicting myself. When I persuaded you to use Lu Xiaoro, I said that if you used Lu Xiaoro, you might be able to find another way to win. But this time, Parker reacted almost instantly, and his attitude took a 180-degree turn. I'm really sorry. I was caught up in some trivial matters just now. Please wait for a moment. With that, he turned around like a whirlwind, opened the door, and said to the assistant outside, Prepare a new endorsement contract immediately. Huh? The assistant was suddenly stunned. The director had just gone in for a few seconds. What happened? At this moment, the corner of Su Tao's mouth twitched slightly. He couldn't tell what he was feeling. Back then, in order to convince Parker to use Lu Xiaoro, he had spent a Herculean effort, and his lips were almost broken from talking. But now, he only said a short sentence. In the face of real strength, all skills were nothingness. Chapter 1829. Parker wiped his sweaty palms, gave an elegant gentleman's salute, and reached out his hand to Ning Shi. Hello, Miss Ning Shi. Ning Shi reached out and shook Parker's hand lightly. Hello, Director Parker. Looking at Ning Shi's face that seemed to have been turned back in time, Parker was indescribably excited. Miss Ning, it's been a long time. It's been a year since we last met at the fashion banquet. I didn't expect that after a year, Miss Ning. You're even more beautiful than before. Not to mention the sensation that Ning Shi's return would cause after a year. Just this time reversal's stunning face alone could be used as the biggest selling point of this advertisement. In the history of classic endorsements, several big brands' counterattacks and sales legends happened when retired movie queens and actresses came back. Moreover, Ning Shi hadn't retired for long and was a hot topic. If he hadn't seen Ning Shi in person a year later, he wouldn't be sure if she could beat Han Zixuan, who was in the limelight now. However, after seeing her in person, the last bit of concern disappeared. Han Zixuan and Ning Shi weren't on the same level at all. Su Tao was right. If he missed this opportunity, he might really miss his only chance to defeat the SS. He had to get this cooperation no matter what. Director Parker, you're overpraising me. No. I'm speaking from the bottom of my heart. Parker's expression was unusually sincere. I just didn't expect that Miss Ning would come back. It's such a big surprise. If I had known earlier, I would have paid you a visit personally. You wouldn't have to make this trip. After speaking, he looked at Su Tao with a face full of gratitude. Mr. Su, I sincerely apologize for being presumptuous and disrespectful before. Please be sure to sign this endorsement with YLD. We'll discuss the endorsement fee again. You can name the price. I can still make the decision. Su Tao's lips twitched with a fake smile. Hee hee, isn't that a little inappropriate? Don't you still have people waiting on your side? It wouldn't be good if people say that we snatched the contract midway. Parker immediately said righteously, The person I arranged to meet today was you, Mr. Su. I don't think there's anything inappropriate about this. Everyone in the company can prove that I've been negotiating with you all this time, Mr. Su. Su Tao was a little speechless. TSK, this foreigner really knows how to talk. Okay, then shall we discuss the details now? Su Tao knew when to stop. No problem. Please take a look at this preliminary contract. I will try my best to satisfy all your and Miss Ning's requirements. Meanwhile, in the office, Parker said he would be back soon, but he never came back. Chung Yibin and Liu Xiaoro had been waiting for more than half an hour, but he still hadn't come back. Chung Yibin, who was originally unperturbed, couldn't help but feel a little impatient. What's going on? Where is he? After all, Su Tao was a veteran gold medal manager in the industry. He had been in the entertainment industry for many years and had a few tricks up his sleeve. Could it be that he had used some tricks again and caused the situation to change? Liu Xiaoro looked in the direction of the door. She firmly believed that no matter how capable Su Tao was, he couldn't cook without rice. She said indifferently, He's probably being entangled by Su Tao. You know how difficult it is to deal with Su Tao. Chung Yibin looked displeased. This kind of ruffian, just get the security to chase him out. What's the point of wasting our time talking to him? Just as Chung Yibin was complaining, Parker's assistant knocked on the door and entered. Chapter 1830. Assistant Feng, you're finally here. Where's Director Parker? Chung Yibin glanced behind the assistant, but did not see anyone. The assistant said politely, I'm sorry, Director Parker is currently receiving an important guest. Please return. Chung Yibin was stunned. Important guest? What kind of important guest could make Parker terminate such an important contract? He was just one step away from signing the contract. He had even booked a celebratory banquet, but then there was an unforeseen event. Chung Yibin's face turned a little ugly for a moment. He lowered his voice and said, Assistant Feng, please tell Director Parker that we've already agreed to sign the contract today. I rushed over here after helping Xiao Ro push down several important announcements. It's not appropriate for your company to suddenly change the date like this. If we reschedule the next time, I might not even have time for the next month. Chung Yibin's tone carried a hint of warning. Liu Xiaoro heard Chung Yibin's words and immediately gained confidence. She was now an artist of Starlight Entertainment. Things were different now. A trace of mockery flashed through the assistant's eyes. Not only did he not look nervous, he said calmly, It's not rescheduling. The two of you don't have to come anymore. We've already decided on another candidate for the spokesperson. What did you say? Chung Yibin stood up the moment the assistant finished speaking. Liu Xiaoro's expression changed instantly. Her face was filled with disbelief. What do you think Starlight Entertainment is? How can you just change people without even informing us? Chung Yibin could not keep his face, and his face was immediately filled with anger. The assistant chuckled and said slowly, Mr. Chung, your words are too serious. You should know the rules in the industry. All verbal promises are not counted. As long as there's no signature, anyone has a chance to compete. Moreover, even if it's a verbal agreement, it's between Director Parker and Mr. Su. It has nothing to do with you, Mr. Chung, right? But Su Tao chose me, Liu Xiaoro said unwillingly. But now, Mr. Su has recommended a better candidate for us. Chung Yibin was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. However, he did not dare to make a scene in YLD. He could only swallow his anger and asked with a gloomy face, Who's the new spokesperson that Director Parker has chosen? He wanted to see which idiot dared to snatch Starlight's endorsement. So what if she snatched away the endorsement? He would immediately ban her and see if Su Tao could protect her. Sorry, this is a company secret. Forgive me for not being able to disclose it. The assistant only said this sentence and then left. Lu Xiaoro fell into the chair in a daze. That's impossible. Su Tao couldn't come up with a better candidate. Cheng Yibin snorted coldly. It must be some kind of trick. Lu Xiaoro was extremely anxious. Brother Bin, what do we do now? This endorsement was clearly mine. Brother Bin, you have to help me get it back. I've waited so long, too. It's just a small endorsement. What's the rush? What a blind fool. Do you still need to worry about not being able to get endorsements with me? Cheng Yibin said perfunctorily in annoyance. With Parker's attitude, how could he snatch it? He would not be like Su Tao, shamelessly pretending to be a grandson just for an endorsement. Lu Xiaoro still wanted to say something, but seeing Cheng Yibin's impatient expression, she could only keep quiet. Cheng Yibin had a lot of big names under him. All the good resources were given to others first. What good resources could fall into her hands? Chapter 1831. Furthermore, this was Wildy, an endorsement that was on the same level as SS. If she could get this endorsement, all her resources and endorsements would go up a notch in the future. She thought that she would definitely be promoted after she joined Starlight. Who knew that she would lose such an important contract as soon as she left Su Tao? She had underestimated Su Tao. Damn it, he's being sincere. He's trying to ruin me. Ying Yu was the one who asked his assistant to slap him and insult him in public, not her. She was just trying to protect herself. What right did he have to target her? What right did he have to take away something that she had worked so hard for? Without this contract, how would she, who had no status or background, be able to stand her ground in the highly competitive Starlight Entertainment? In front of the Wildy building, Su Tao carefully opened the car door and helped Ningxi into the car. Just when he was about to turn around to the driver's seat, an angry voice came from behind. Lu Xiaoro caught up to him in her high heels and started scolding him the moment she saw him. Su Tao, you're too much. Su Tao stopped in his tracks and raised his eyebrows. Oh, too much? Superstar Lu, how am I too much? Lu Xiaoro's eyes were filled with hatred. You know how important this endorsement is to me. Su Tao sneered. Hey, of course I know. If you didn't know, would he have fought so hard for her? Lu Xiaoro was so angry that she shrieked. Su Tao, don't always act like you've done so much for me. I only got to where I am today because of my own hard work. If I was in Starlight instead of Golden Era, I would have been an A-lister a long time ago. It's because of you that I'm stuck here. You don't deserve to be my manager. Su Tao remained silent. He was already numb to Lu Xiaoro's insults. However, at this moment, the door of the silent black car was suddenly pushed open by a fair hand. A woman slowly got out of the car and looked at the indignant girl in front of the car. You know very well that with your talent, you would never be able to make a name for yourself in Starlight. If it wasn't for Brother Tao, you would only be a minor character in Golden Era. You're right. You don't deserve a manager like Su Tao. Lu Xiaoro widened her eyes and stared blankly at the woman who suddenly came out of the car. She seemed to have seen something extremely frightening, and even her body began to tremble slightly. Senior Ningxi, how could this be? Su Tao's new artist was actually Ningxi. Forget it, Ningxi. There's nothing to say. Su Tao was surprised to see Ningxi speak up for him. At the same time, his heart warmed up. In the future, you will have many opportunities to know what you have betrayed and lost today. After saying this, Ningxi returned to the car. Lu Xiaoro stared at the black car that was getting further and further away. She stood there in a daze, unable to regain her senses. That sentence, "You don't deserve a manager like Su Tao," hit her hard. Ningxi was back. Ningxi chose Su Tao as her agent. Just this fact alone was enough to send her into a panic. This kind of feeling was like a piece of trash that she had discarded like a pair of worn-out shoes. One day, someone suddenly picked it up and said that it was a priceless treasure, and she had eyes but failed to see. Chapter 1832. In the car. Ahem, Ningxi, just now? Thank you. You don't have to. I'm used to it. Arguing with that kind of person will only lower your status, Su Tao said gratefully. Ningxi rested her head on her hand and said carelessly, "It's nothing. I just can't stand people bullying my people." Hearing this, Su Tao's eyes welled up with tears. It felt so good to have someone to rely on. Who else do you have now? Ningxi nodded and asked. Su Tao sighed. There aren't any artists that can be taken out. There's only a B-lister, Qin Shuang. She's a pretty hard-working girl, but her luck is a little bad. She's been in the industry for 8 years, and there are a lot of people who are popular in the same period as her. But she just can't become popular. Ningxi nodded. I'll help her. Su Tao was overjoyed. That's great. Ningxi scrolled through the news about Jiang Mai and Han Zixuan on her phone and asked with a frown, How's Jiang Mai doing? Su Tao shook his head helplessly. Lei Ming is not cooperating at all, and the situation is getting worse. If we don't clarify it in time, the fans will have a bad impression of him, and it will be hard to clear it in the future. Is the photo of him and Han Zixuan a stills photo? Ningxi asked with certainty. Su Tao nodded. It's a stills photo of Shun Mian's new show. Jiang Mai is just a cameo, and the kissing scene is just a fake. Because of the sensitive subject matter, it's difficult for it to be shown in China, and the whole process is confidential. Shun Mian is going to take it abroad for an exhibition, so it can't be leaked in advance. Otherwise, if the news is leaked, it will be blocked, and all our efforts will be in vain. Jiang Mai is a loyal friend. He has been called a scumbag by so many people, but he still didn't say anything. Lei Ming and Liang Zibin wanted him to apologize and suppress the matter, but he didn't want to. Now it's a stalemate. Ningxi sighed and shook her head. With Jiang Mai's character, he would never apologize. Su Tao said tentatively, Ningxi, your comeback this time has something to do with Jiang Mai, right? This matter. Are you preparing to? In fact, those who knew the truth all knew that the reason why Jiang Mai publicly criticized Han Zixuan was because of what Zheng Anru said at the press conference, who in Shengshi Entertainment didn't know how Han Zixuan got her position. In the end, those people actually said such shameless words in public. Ningxi thought for a moment and then asked, When is the latest promotion of Under the Heavens? Although Su Tao had been getting drunk recently, he still knew this information like the back of his hand. He immediately replied, 2 days later. Because the last press conference was ruined by Jiang Mai, they made it even bigger this time. They even invited all the original cast members of the world to promote it, including the best actor Zhao Xizhou, the veteran actor Feng Yibo. It is said that even Ning Xiaoluo will attend. Ningxi nodded. Then get ready. Let's go and have a look. Su Tao's eyes lit up. He couldn't have asked for more. You mean to snatch the role? Should he find Jiang Mai as well? It was said that they had just given Jiang Mai an ultimatum, asking him to apologize publicly. Otherwise, the male lead would be replaced. Why don't we just snatch both the male and female leads back this time? Ningxi raised her eyebrows and said quietly, Who said I'm going to grab a role? No. Su Tao was a bit confused. Then what are we going to do? Ningxi smiled. Of course, we're going to make a scene. Su Tao. Chapter 1833. At the Royal Ju Hotel, the main cast of The World and several important investors gathered together. This Jiang Mai is too arrogant. Such a big investment was almost ruined in his hands. A fierce-looking coal boss with a beer belly said with displeasure, Why should we give him a chance? I think we should just kick him out. A well-dressed, middle-aged man echoed. The general manager of Starlight Entertainment tried to smooth things over with a smile on his face. Jiang Mai's popularity is indisputable. As long as he repents and apologizes towards Zixuan, we can give him another chance in the future publicity. After all, only with an explosive point can there be popularity. With him around, our movie won't be short topics. Qinan, the producer, said, I've contacted Lei Ming. Jiang Mai must appear and make a public apology the day after tomorrow. This is the last chance. I believe they will know what to do. Wang Linhai, the assistant director, tried to smooth things over. He raised his glass and said, Okay. Let's not talk about these things. Let's toast to our beauty Han. Zixuan has been wrong this time. That Jiang Mai is too much to abandon her. He's too tasteless as a man. Therefore, everyone began to criticize Jiang Mai and toasted Han Zixuan. After all, Han Zixuan was the leader of this movie. Even the investors had to be polite to her. One of the investors, whose face was red from drinking, stood up and said excitedly and proudly, Everyone, I'm confident that with the strong cast of this movie, we can definitely surpass the record set by Nine Cloud a year ago. Of course. With Zishuan's popularity, it's hard not to be popular. When Nine Cloud became popular, not only did it make a lot of people popular, but all the investors made a lot of money. It was no wonder that these investors were so obsessed with it that they specially invited the director of Nine Cloud, Guo Qixing, hoping to create another miracle. Although the total investment of the world this time was no less than that of Nine Cloud, and with the popularity of the movie The World and the gimmick of romance, Guo Qixing didn't like it. With such a big investment and cast, it was certain that they would make money. But to make a big hit, to surpass Nine Cloud? Did they know that back in the day, even a minor character in Nine Firmaments was extremely popular, with fans writing countless doujinshi jokes? Did they know that even Papa, who had very few scenes with a female lead, had a large number of diehard fans? Not to mention that Ningxi had created the iconic image of the Cloud Phoenix, which was popular all over the country. From 80-year-old grannies to 6-year-old boys, everyone knew about it. Did they think it was so easy to make a big hit? Even Under the Heavens, which had a strong fan base and foundation, couldn't easily surpass Nine Heavens. He dared to say that if there was anyone in this world who could surpass the brilliance of Nine Heavens, it would be Ningxi and Jiangmai himself. These investors simply didn't understand where the core and soul of Under the Heavens was, and he couldn't be bothered to play the lute to a cow. Since the investors had their eyes on Under the Heavens, even if they didn't look for him, they would still look for someone else. To him, Ningxi had retired, so it didn't matter who the actor was. However, now that even Jiangmai couldn't make him stay, he was even more disheartened. Even now, he still expected Jiangmai to compromise and apologize, trying to exploit and squeeze out every last bit of value from him. How naive. Chapter 1834. Dear Town, Garden House. Ningxi came home from work and leaned comfortably on the sofa. Lu Tingxiao was massaging her legs. Are you tired? Ningxi squinted comfortably like a cat and waved her hand. No, I'm not tired. I just signed a contract today. I didn't do anything. I didn't even move my lips. Then I got it. Lu Tingxiao chuckled. You're awesome, madam. Haha, of course. Whose wife I am. He didn't forget to praise his sweetheart when he was praising himself. Lu Tingxiao loved her so much. He leaned over and kissed her forehead. Then he picked up the bowl of cold soup on the coffee table. Didn't you drink it just now? What's this? Ningxi frowned. Mom made it for you. Oh, sweetheart, can we make a deal? Don't let Mom make soup for me again. My belly is about to pop out. Ningxi put on a sad face and touched her flat belly exaggeratedly. Lu Tingxiao coaxed her softly. I only left a small bowl for you. The rest is for Jing Li. Ningxi burst into laughter. Puffed. You're really my brother, the little carp that was about to throw up thought. I must be a fake brother. Lu Tingxiao fed his wife contentedly. Do you need me to find Jiangmai for you? He knew that Ningxi was most worried about Jiangmai's condition. Ningxi rolled her eyes like a little fox and said, No need. Little golden retriever will show up by itself. After drinking half a bowl of soup, Ningxi jumped off the sofa and said, I can't talk to you anymore. I'm going to practice hard. Lu Tingxiao frowned. Didn't you say you wouldn't tire yourself out because of your comeback? Ningxi blinked and said, Who said I'm doing this for my comeback? I'm doing this for you. For me? Lu Tingxiao was puzzled. Yes, to get on top of you. Who told you to say that my physical strength is poor? Ningxi said and ran away, obviously still holding a grudge about what happened that night. Lu Tingxiao, actually, she didn't need to get on top of him. He could cooperate. In the past 2 days after Ningxi quietly took a big brand endorsement, there was no more movement. Although Lu Xiaoro was very shocked by Ningxi's appearance that day, she didn't mention it to anyone because she didn't know the situation. Besides, it wouldn't do her any good if she did. However, she had been trembling with fear, hoping that things were not what she had imagined, and that there was some misunderstanding. After losing the endorsement with Wildy, she tried her best to please Cheng Yibin, hoping that he could help her fight for other endorsements and resources. She was eager to gain a foothold in Starlight as soon as possible. In the end, After Chung Yibin took countless benefits and kickbacks from her, he finally agreed to help her pull some strings. However, he took her to drink alone with an old man who was almost 60 years old. Even a fool would know what that meant. And that old man was just an executive of a second-tier brand company. She suddenly recalled that Su Tao had once told them when he was drunk that even if he had to sell his chrysanthemum, he would absolutely not let the good cabbages under him be taken by this kind of pig. In the future, you will have many opportunities to know what you have betrayed and lost today. She didn't expect that Ningxi's words would come true so soon. Chapter 1835. The next day, at the Imperial City International Convention and Exhibition Center, the organizers were rich. In order to avenge the humiliation they suffered during the press conference, they had arranged for the event to be held in the main exhibition hall that could accommodate 2,000 people. The tickets were sold out the moment the news was announced a week ago. Various media outlets were fighting to get an interview spot. What did Golden Era say? Wang Haojuan, the general manager of Starlight Entertainment, asked his PR officer with a dark expression. I've warned them. Golden Era replied that they will give us a satisfactory answer today. The other party replied proudly. Wang Haojuan snorted coldly. I knew it. I thought they had a backbone, but they still have to bow down in the end. If it wasn't for that kid's popularity, I would have replaced all of them with Starlight's artists. That way, they wouldn't be able to take advantage of us. You're right, CEO Wang. The subordinate agreed. When Under the Heavens was being filmed, Starlight Entertainment did not get any benefits because they withdrew their investment midway. This time, they had been eyeing this juicy piece of meat for a long time. They finally seized the opportunity to get the rights to remake the movie and became the biggest investor. There's something else I need to confirm with you, CEO Wang. Is Vice President Ning going to attend this event as well? The subordinate asked. Wang Haojuan said confidently, Vice President Ning will be the finale. Not only will she be the female lead of the movie, but she will also be an important investor of the movie. It had been a long time since the incident. Moreover, Ningxi had already retired from the entertainment industry. This was the best opportunity for Shui Luo to reappear in front of the public. Zixuan, do you see this? Everyone outside is here for you. Zheng Anru looked at the huge crowd of fans from the backstage. Her eyes were filled with excitement and ambition. Han Zixuan played with a strand of hair beside her ear. She was a little dispirited. Everything was just a matter of course. What was there to be excited about? I've asked around. As long as Shin Mian's movie is successfully submitted to the exhibition, there's an 80% chance that you'll win an award. In addition, Under the Heavens will help you gain national recognition. You'll be an unsurpassable existence in the entertainment industry. No one will dare to mention Ningxi's name in front of you anymore. Only when she heard this did Han Zixuan's eyes move slightly, and her eyebrows relaxed quite a bit. Zheng Anru immediately knew that she had flattered the right person. She continued to say what Zixuan liked to hear. That damn Jiaomai. We kindly invited him to do the promotion with us, but he refused. Zixuan, don't worry. Today, he will apologize to you in public. At the same time, the front desk was busy preparing. The two hosts, one male and one female, were enthusiastically giving their opening remarks and warming up the scene. The big screen behind them was playing the beautiful photos of the new characters and the special effects trailer. The fans at the scene screamed from time to time, calling it a visual feast. Next, let's welcome the main cast of Under the Heavens to the stage. Welcome, welcome everyone. The male and female hosts introduced and interviewed the cast and crew one by one. At the same time, they interacted with the live fans. And this was just the appetizer. Later on, there would be more and more explosive points. Chapter 1836. After the interaction between the main cast and crew, the host began to keep the audience in suspense. From the supporting cast to the main cast, he invited the actors from the original version to the stage to reminisce about the past. As soon as Zhao Xizhou, who played the male lead in the original version of The World, appeared, he caused a stir. The interaction between Zhao Xizhou and the new version of Chu Beichen also attracted a lot of attention. The organizers and the investors in the front row saw that the atmosphere was high and everything was going smoothly, so they all showed a satisfied expression. After the fans and media were almost hooked, the host finally said excitedly, "Do you know who's going to appear next? Han Zishuan, 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 Xian Xian, Xian Xian, Xian Xian." The audience suddenly burst into thunderous cheers. The fans waved the glow sticks and bulletin boards in their hands crazily. As if everyone had agreed on it, they all shouted in unison, "No Zishuan, no Chang'e, Wu Zishuan, no Chang'e, Wu Zishuan, no Chang'e. The best goddess Xian, the best Meng Chang'e." The slogans echoed in the huge exhibition hall. It was deafening, and the atmosphere at the scene was raised to the extreme. "Oh my God, our Zishuan is too popular. Of course, Goddess Xian is the queen of popularity. Then what are you waiting for? Hurry up and invite our Goddess Xian on stage. Everyone, can you all be louder? Let the goddess hear your call. Feel your passion." All kinds of slogans and cheers came one after another. Amidst everyone's anticipation, Han Zishuan finally walked up to the stage. As the star of Starlight Entertainment, she naturally had to give face to the higher-ups. Han Zishuan knew this very well. So, at this moment, she was wearing the store treasure that history had released half a year ago. It was called Blooming Flowers. The meaning of this gown was very suitable for the popular Han Zishuan. The two complemented each other very well. It was made of a dreamy, ethereal material. 10 masters had spent 3 months to inlay 365 beaded flowers. The flowers spread from the chest to the hem of the skirt. The diamond necklace on her neck was made of 15 round diamonds, 26 pear-shaped diamonds, 9 heart-shaped diamonds, and 5 emerald-shaped diamonds. The necklace was made of 15 round diamonds, 26 pear-shaped diamonds, 9 heart-shaped diamonds, and 5 emerald-shaped diamonds. The jewelry on her wrist was KDY's 100-year commemorative edition, and the high heels on her feet were high-end custom-made shoes that had yet to be released in the market. At this moment, the woman on the stage was the center of attention. Every single strand of hair on her body was dazzling and elegant. "Oh my God, Goddess Xian is so beautiful today," the female host exclaimed exaggeratedly. The male host couldn't take his eyes off her. "Our Goddess Xian is just as beautiful every day. Isn't that right?" Yes, the fans were shouting at the top of their lungs, and the fans were even more excited. After the host livened up the atmosphere for a while, he invited Han Zishuan to sit on the sofa and began to discuss the plot with the other actors and the main cast. The assistant director was full of praises the whole time. Director Guo's Under the Heavens is indeed a classic, but because of Xian's participation, I dare say that when the film is released, it will definitely subvert your imagination. The producer laughed. This role can be said to be tailor-made for Xian, especially after the changes to the script with Meng Chang'e as the main character. It will definitely make up for the audience's regrets and make it even more enjoyable. Chapter 1837. Zheng Anru said proudly, "Our Xian has been preparing for this show since half a year ago. She has personally learned martial arts from her master and insisted on having no stunt doubles. When the time comes, she will personally complete all the scenes." Zheng Anru's words immediately won the hearts of a large number of fans. The audience began to cheer excitedly, feeling sorry for their goddess for working so hard for them. Upon hearing that, the host immediately followed the prearranged procedure and pretended to be excited. "Really? I'm so looking forward to it. I wonder if we'll be able to see Xuan's amazing performance today. Does everyone want to see it?" Yes, the audience immediately shouted. Han Zishuan looked at her outfit awkwardly and said, "I might need to change my clothes first." We can wait. We can wait as long as it takes for our goddess." Amidst the fervent anticipation, Han Zishuan went backstage to change while the host continued to liven up the atmosphere. A moment later, Han Zishuan walked out from backstage in a bright red outfit with a high ponytail and a long spear in her hand. Unsurprisingly, the screams of the fans below the stage almost broke the roof. Aside from Han Zishuan, There was another staff member wearing armor on the stage. He was Han Zixuan's partner. On the big screen behind her, Han Zixuan's eyes flashed, and the spear in her hand immediately attacked her opponent. The beautiful and exciting fight made the fans gasp in surprise. Almost all the fans in the audience were recording the fight with their phones, and the cameras were also shooting from all angles. After all, the video would be uploaded to the internet to promote the show. After a wonderful live performance, the cheers of No Zixuan, No Long Song became even louder. In the backstage, Wang Haojuan nodded happily. It was indeed worth it to spend so much money to promote the show. Now, all that was left was Jiang Mai's apology and Vice President Ning's concluding speech as the investors' representative. Inform Golden Era that Jiang Mai can go on stage now. Wang Haojuan instructed his subordinate. All right, right away. After receiving the notification through the wireless earpiece, the host smiled and said, "Did everyone notice? There's still one more person who hasn't come today." Most of the audience present knew that the host was referring to Jiang Mai. Han Zixuan's die-hard fans immediately booed. At the same time, Jiang Mai's fan club also cheered fiercely. The two groups were now like fire and water, and they almost fought on the spot. I heard that this late guest has something to say to our Zixuan. The audience's curiosity was piqued by the host, and they all looked backstage. There was no movement on the other side. After about a minute, a middle-aged man in a black suit appeared in front of everyone. "Su Tao, how could it be him? Where's Lei Ming?" Backstage, Wang Haojuan frowned. "It's probably because they can't control Jiang Mai, so they changed his agent," one of his men speculated. "Now, what's the difference? Isn't Su Tao also trash?" On the stage, Su Tao appeared in the light first. Then, the audience saw the man carefully reach out his hand towards the darkness behind him. Then, a fair finger landed on the man's arm. With the man holding it, little by little, from the darkness, they appeared on the brightly lit stage. Chapter 1838. The woman walked out of the darkness and slowly appeared under the light. She was wearing a white cheongsam without any impurities. Her ink-black hair was loosely tied up in a lazy bun at the back. Except for the simple ring necklace at her collarbone, there was no extra pendant on her. However, the moment the girl appeared under the light, she was like the sun in the night sky. Her splendor was enough to overshadow everything in the world. The host, the actors, the guests, the fans off the stage, the media, the huge convention center was dead silent. Not a single sound could be heard. It was as if everything in front of them would disappear like flowers in a mirror or the moon in the water as long as they made a sound. Ning Shi. In the crowd, someone began to whisper first. Then, this name quickly swept through the entire venue like a wave, surging into everyone's ears. Everyone seemed to wake up from a dream and suddenly stared at the woman who had walked slowly to the center of the stage. The sound of the scene was like a rising tide, getting louder and louder. My God. Ning Shi. It's really Ning Shi. A female fan covered her face with her hands, her face full of disbelief. This is impossible. Wang Haojuan backstage was even more confused than the fans and audience. Wang Haojuan had just recovered from the shock of Ning Shi's stunning appearance, and he was on the verge of collapse. What's going on? Shouldn't it be Jiang Mai on the stage? Why is it Ning Shi? The public relations staff was also completely dumbfounded. They were all in a mess, asking everywhere what was going on. The situation at the front desk was not much better. The two professional hosts stared at each other, unable to say a word. Even Zheng Anru, who had always been calm and had a glib tongue, was stunned. Han Zixuan, who had just finished her live performance, stood there in a daze. A moment ago, she was still a valiant goddess in red, but now she was like an insignificant passerby, completely ignored by everyone. In the end, it was Su Tao who took the microphone from the dumbfounded host and said leisurely, "My dears, good evening. It's a great honor to be repeatedly invited by the organizer to attend the publicity ceremony of the world." Hearing Su Tao's words, Wang Haojuan backstage almost spat out blood. "Su Tao, you, fuck, dog, fuck, When did I invite you again and again? Was he crazy? He went to invite Ningxi. Mr. Wang, what should we do now? Under the watchful eyes of so many people, we can't just kick him out. The public relations director was so anxious that he was sweating profusely. Make sure that the people at the front hold on. She was just a has-been actress. Why are you panicking? Wang Haojun roared. Yes, yes. The man wiped the sweat on his forehead, and then he couldn't help but look at the woman next to Su Tao. At the same time, he muttered in his heart, outdated actress. But as soon as this has-been actress went on stage, she actually made Han Zixuan, who was the center of attention just a moment ago, look like an idiot. Even they themselves didn't panic at first. Instead, they instinctively indulged in it. Meanwhile, at a certain large arcade in the imperial capital, Jiang Mai was wearing a pair of flip-flops and holding a lollipop in his mouth. His beard was unshaven and his yellow hair was as messy as a chicken's nest. With his current status, even if he bumped into a fan, he wouldn't be recognized. GA over. Seeing the bright red words "Game Over" on the screen, the man angrily hammered the computer. Fuck. He was still impatient after all. Today was the day that those idiots would hold the publicity conference. Chapter 1839. Jiang Mai scratched his hair and sat on a pile of colorful balls in his slippers. He squatted there for a long time and finally turned on his cell phone. Sure enough, the news was filled with reports about today's publicity event. There was talk of a great momentum, a reunion after 2 years, no Zixuan, no Chang'e, and even the prodigal son returns. Jiang Mai apologizes on the spot and reconciles with Han Zixuan. Turn back your ass. Apologize your ass. Reconcile your ass. What the fuck is this? Jiang Mai was so angry that he almost smashed his cell phone. At this moment, the big screen in the arcade city suddenly changed. The staff had actually switched it to the live webcast of Under the Heavens promotional site. Wow. It's my goddess Xian. It's true. The world is holding an event in the convention center today. It's a pity that I didn't get a ticket. Why is the screen dirty? Our goddess is so beautiful today. She's a beauty addict. The live webcast on the big screen attracted many people's attention. Jiang Mai's eyes were fixed on it. I like to see how stupid those idiots can be. On the big screen, Han Zixuan changed into a red outfit and put on an exciting fight performance with the staff, causing the fans at the scene and the passers-by who were looking up in the arcade city to exclaim in amazement. Jiang Mai rested his chin on his hand and swayed on a wooden horse. His eyes almost rolled out of his head. Trained for half a year? Who are you kidding? This flowery frame took at most 3 days to complete. It's all because of the excellent acting skills of the staff who acted with her. Did you notice? There's one more person who's not here today. I heard that this late guest has something to say to our Zixuan. Wow, really? Let's invite this guest to come on stage. As soon as the host's voice fell, Han Zixuan's fans at the scene sighed with dissatisfaction. The passers-by in the video arcade also sighed and complained. Damn, is Jiang Mai going to appear? Is he finally willing to apologize? Humph, shameless scumbag. I won't forgive him even if he apologizes. Right, he's so tasteless. To think that I used to like him. Now, even his good looks can't make me forgive him. Hearing the host's words, Jiang Mai's face suddenly changed. Damn it, what's going on? I'm right here. What the hell are you talking about? What the hell are these bastards doing? The one with the surname Lei. If you really dare to take the initiative to apologize on my behalf. Jiang Mai's murderous gaze almost made a hole in the screen. After a short wait, someone finally appeared on the stage. It wasn't Lei Ming, but Su Tao. How could it be this guy? She knew Lei Ming didn't have the guts, so the company sent Su Tao. Jiang Mai was so angry that he immediately took out his phone and was about to call them. Just as he was searching for the number, he saw from the corner of his eye Su Tao cautiously extending his hand in the direction behind him, as though there were others behind him. First, there was a flash of white. Then, under Su Tao's lead, a figure slowly walked out of the darkness and onto the brightly lit stage. The plain white Chong Sam, the wispy hair, The breathtaking face, she didn't need to wear embroidered clothes to compliment her. She didn't need expensive luxury goods to decorate her. And she didn't even need any words. Her existence was the focal point. Fuck. The moment he saw who was on screen, Jiaomai staggered and rolled down from the little wooden horse. Chapter 1840. In the exhibition center, after a flurry, the front desk and the backstage finally restored the normal order and were ready to smooth things over. If a has-been actress was willing to humiliate herself and add icing on the cake, why wouldn't they do it? However, when the organizer finally reacted, the fans began to riot. The exclamations and discussions in the venue became louder and louder. Everyone was pushing forward crazily. The security guards threatened them with batons and kept blowing whistles, but it didn't work at all. From time to time, people in the crowd cried and screamed when they were pushed. I understand everyone's excitement, but please control your emotions. Ahem, that's right. Everyone, please be quiet. The two hosts talked for a long time, but no one listened to them, so they looked to Han Zixuan and Zheng Anru for help. Seeing that Ning Shi's appearance caused such a stir, Zheng Anru's face darkened. Han Zixuan had calmed down. She picked up the microphone and said softly, "My fans, please be quiet, okay? Thank you." In the past, when their idol spoke in person, they would definitely respond. However, at this moment, these people had completely lost their minds and were still pushing crazily. God, Ning Shi, is it really Ning Shi? Don't push. Don't push. Could it be that the organizers found an imposter? Fuck. Seeing that the whole venue was filled with the names Ning Shi, Ning Shi, Ning Shi, Ning Shi, the fans became more and more excited, and the organizer was also in a mess. The scene was about to get out of control. At this time, there was a sudden hush from the microphone. Then a familiar voice was heard in the noise. "Gentlemen, please take care of the girls around you. Don't let them be pushed, okay?" Although the voice was not loud and was as gentle and harmless as the stream water, it was almost drowned out by the noise of the crowd. However, it seemed to have some kind of special power. The moment the voice sounded, all the men at the scene were startled. Not only did they stop pushing and shoving, they even consciously stopped the people beside them from pushing and opened their arms to protect the girls around them like gentlemen. Those girls who were as crazy as the men, after hearing Ning Shi's words, all became extremely ladylike. Within 3 seconds, the scene was quickly restored to order and silence reigned. This was so powerful that it left one flabbergasted backstage. Starlight's public relations director's expression was getting more and more solemn. He vaguely recalled that Ning Shi's fans were famous for their high quality. The order of the event site was the most orderly among all the artists, as if they were under military management. Although Han Zixuan had accepted Ning Shi's huge fan group, she didn't retain this characteristic of being a fan at all. But once Ning Shi came back, even Han Zixuan couldn't control her fans. They immediately became so obedient. This was simply the two hosts, who were sweating profusely to maintain order, saw that the scene had suddenly become quiet. They looked at each other in shock. After being stunned for a while, the two of them finally reacted and hurriedly arranged for all the guests and main cast to be seated. Today, Han Zixuan was the only protagonist. No matter what, he had to find a way to turn things around. Chapter 1841. Well, I guess you didn't expect that the organizer could invite the former national goddess Ning Shi to attend today. You must be very surprised. Even the hostess is shocked. After all, Ning Shi has left the entertainment circle for more than a year. After receiving Zheng Anru's warning glance, the host's seemingly cordial but hidden sarcasm in his words ended. He immediately changed the topic. "Teacher Ning, what do you think of Zixuan's performance just now?" The fans in the audience are very satisfied with Zixuan's new performance of Meng Chang'e. This question, she had said that the fans and the audience were very satisfied. If Ning Shi said she was not satisfied, wouldn't she be going against the fans? If she gave a satisfactory answer, it would mean that Han Zixuan's performance was more exciting. Even if Ning Shi was a little polite, it could be predicted that the other party would definitely take advantage of the situation. At that time, It would be full of entertainment gossip, such as, Ning Shi is ashamed to watch the performance live, the new generation excels the old, and so on. Ning Shi would become the other party's stepping stone. Facing the traps set by the hostess, Ning Shi remained calm and gently nodded. The fans and the audience will never be wrong. Hearing this, seeing that Ning Shi fell into the trap, Zheng Anru secretly sneered. Ning Shi, I didn't expect that she dared to show up. She came at the right time. Senior, you flatter me. I still have a lot to learn. Han Zixuan replied gracefully and modestly. However, the word senior was full of sarcasm. Both the hostess and Han Zixuan kept saying senior and former, reminding the fact that Ning, she was already a thing of the past at this time. Zheng Anru said casually, Zixuan really has a lot to learn. Since Senior Ning, she is here today, it's a rare opportunity. Why don't you teach Zixuan with a wonderful fight? Yes, Ms. Ning, please give us a fight. You must be looking forward to it, right? Don't you think so? The hostess immediately echoed. Before Ning, she said anything, Su Tao's face had changed. Forget it if it's too intense. Ningxi is not in good health recently and can't bear it. Zheng Anru was even happier in her heart when she heard Su Tao's refusal. And how could she be willing to give up such a good opportunity? Ning, she had been a martial arts double before. She had a good foundation and gained a large number of fans with her good skills. But now she had retired from the martial arts circle for a year. She was not as good as before. So what if her appearance remained the same? Meng Changa's character wasn't based on looks. Looking at how weak she was right now, it was obvious that she would not be able to control him. As long as Ning she disillusioned all the fans today, Zixuan would have nothing to worry about in the future. Ah, I see. What a pity. However, it's just a casual one. It shouldn't be a big deal, right? After all, Teacher Ning's Meng Changa was very popular in those days. Many old fans here are looking forward to seeing Teacher Ning's elegant demeanor again. The host urged. Obviously, he didn't want Ningxi to leave the stage if she didn't perform. Brother Tao was just too nervous. It's nothing serious. Do you have a spear? Ningxi didn't care and asked directly. Su Tao was anxious when he heard this. He firmly remembered Liang Feixing's exhortations. Ningxi had a serious illness before and had just recovered recently. She must not be too tired or do strenuous exercise. Chapter 1842. Su Tao's face darkened. Just as he was about to continue speaking, Ningxi glanced at Su Tao and gave him a reassuring look, indicating that she knew her limits. Su Tao saw Ningxi's calm expression and could only suppress it for the time being. However, his back was tense, ready to deal with any sudden situation. However, even though he was already vigilant enough, he still didn't expect the other party to be so shameless. The staff member who was fighting with Han Zixuan just now was holding a spear in each hand and was standing far away. Then, he actually threw one of the spears directly in Ningxi's direction. An ordinary person definitely wouldn't be able to withstand the huge force of the spear thrown over. Moreover, they would dodge it out of reflex. Obviously, this was the effect that the other party wanted. The cameraman was probably already secretly preparing to take a shot of Ningxi in a sorry state. Just as Su Tao was about to vomit blood in anger and rush forward to block the spear, he saw that Ningxi didn't even blink. Her figure moved back slightly, and then a slender, white hand steadily blocked the spear. After the big screen zoomed in, the fans below the stage could clearly see the speed at which the spear flew over, and when the spear was held in the girl's hand, the body of the spear trembled violently. Wow! There was a burst of exclamations and applause from the audience. Zheng Anru's face darkened. It was just a spear. What was there to shout about? Making a fuss over nothing. The staff member frowned slightly, and a hint of surprise flashed in his eyes. After receiving Zheng Anru's displeased look, he immediately raised the spear in his hand and quickly attacked Ningxi. When he was sparring with Han Zixuan just now, Zheng Anru had already bragged that his opponent was a professional martial arts actor. He had also been training Han Zixuan for the past half a year, and his opponent did indeed have some skills. Ningxi saw the other party's aggressive attack, stood at the same place, the long spear in her hand as if it had a life of its own, spun in her palm, and then, with a pung sound, it clashed with the other party's long spear. Sparks flew everywhere. It was only a short fight, but the martial arts actor instantly knew that Ning, she wasn't a show-off like Han Zixuan at all. She was the real deal, so he didn't dare to take her lightly anymore. In the beginning, the opponent was still thinking about how to make a fool of himself without being discovered. But in the end, he didn't have the mood to think about these twists and turns. He could only use all his strength to deal with the opponent's increasingly tricky moves. Damn it, this woman could actually use a beautiful spear. Guo Qixing had said that all the actions in the play were done by Ningxi herself. He didn't believe it first, but now, all the fans below the stage, including the host, held their breaths and stared at the stage. They were so nervous that they could not bear to blink. It was as if the stage in front of them was not a dazzling stage, but a smoke-filled battlefield. It was not a performance, but a real battle of life and death. Finally, with a clang, the spear in the staff member's hand was knocked to the ground by the girl. In an instant, all the fans at the scene screamed excitedly and kept whistling. Roar! Ningxi is awesome. Amazing. It's so exciting. I'm so nervous that I'm sweating cold sweat. Looking at the reaction of the fans at the scene, Han Zixuan clenched her teeth, still smiling and applauding. Zheng Anru's expression, hidden in the shadows, was extremely ugly. Chapter 1843. What a useless thing. Trash. The professional stunt double she had hired with a high salary actually lost to a woman on the spot. After the staff received Zheng Anru's vicious gaze, his body suddenly trembled subconsciously. The next second, a trace of darkness flashed in the man's eyes. He suddenly lowered his hand to pick up the spear that had fallen at his feet and unexpectedly attacked the defenseless Ningxi. Swish! At this moment, the spear in Ningxi's hand flew out at lightning speed, brushed past the man's neck, and, after a loud bang, inserted into the wall behind the man. On the big screen, the spear cut through the hair beside the man's ear, and the spearhead sank into the wall, sticking straight there. The martial arts actor's body stiffened, and the expression of extreme fear on his face was magnified on the screen, forming a huge visual impact. After 3 seconds of silence, there was a burst of screams and whistles that almost broke the roof. Thank you. She casually handed the spear in her hand to the staff beside her and slowly sat down again. She didn't wear a warm red dress, didn't have heroic makeup, and even wore a gentle cheongsam with her hair in a bun. But no one doubted that at that moment, the soul in her body was Meng Chang'e. Even if one day that person retired, even if one day that person's body decayed, she was still Meng Chang'e. Chang'e, Chang'e, Chang'e. The old fans at the scene shouted excitedly again and again, and their expressions were indescribably excited. Ningxi, are you all right? As soon as Ningxi came back, Su Tao asked nervously like an old mother. I'm fine. Ningxi shook her head. There was a thin layer of sweat on her forehead, and her wrist was swollen and painful, but fortunately, it was not a long time, so it was not a big deal. At this moment, looking at the reaction at the scene, Zheng Anru pinched her fingers tightly, and her face was ashen. It was over. It was irreversible. Originally, she was going to ruin Ningxi's image in the eyes of the fans, but it turned out that she could not be surpassed. This was simply digging a hole for herself. No, she could not let this happen. Once this impression was given to the fans, everything would be over. As expected of Senior, you're still a treasure blade. Our Zixuan is still young, but it looks like she's still too inexperienced. Zheng Anru put on a fake smile and applauded, but she deliberately emphasized the word old to highlight Han Zixuan's youth. In fact, Han Zixuan was only as old as Ningxi. As Zheng Anru said this, she glanced at the excited fans present with a faint smile, and then said slowly, It's really a surprise that Senior Ningxi is here today, but it's more of an accident, isn't it? After all, Senior Ning, she retired a year ago. Your fans were very sad at that time. Today, after more than a year, Senior has suddenly appeared again. Don't you have anything to say to your fans? Zheng Anru sneered. Her provocation was undoubtedly to arouse the hatred of the fans and the conflicts between Ning Shi and the fans in the past year. Stupid fans, have you forgotten how heartless this woman was? How she disappeared without saying a word and irresponsibly. This kind of person, is it really worth it for you to continue to like him? Hearing Zheng Anru's words, the fans who had been cheering excitedly just now fell silent in an instant. Most of the fans here today were fans of Han Zixuan and Jiang Mai. And some of the fans of Han Zixuan and Jiang Mai were almost all die-hard fans of Ning Shi on the stage. Ning Shi sat there quietly and kept silent for a long time. Su Tao's heart suddenly tightened. What he was most worried about had happened. Chapter 1844. Seeing the reaction of the fans, Zheng Anru on the stage and Wang Haojuan behind the stage both breathed a sigh of relief. Zheng Anru is the best. Wang Haojuan looked very satisfied. The public relations director next to him sighed. After all, she is one of the people who knows Ning Shi best. Of course, she knows where her weakness is. At this moment, the whole hall was still in dead silence. After a long time, the atmosphere became more and more depressing, like the calm before the storm. Just as a haze was brewing and spreading in the crowd like a plague, a woman's voice rang out. I'm sorry to have made you worry and wait for so long. The fans below the stage were silent. I have a lot to say, but I don't know how to say it. In the silent hall, the girl continued to speak. I will sing a song for you. The girl raised her head and smiled, but her eyes were full of sadness. Still no one spoke. Ning Shi tilted her head and whispered a few words to Su Tao. Su Tao looked a little hesitant, then nodded and left backstage. Zheng Anru and the others didn't stop her. They all looked at her coldly. Hee singing at this time? Was she trying to divert attention? What a joke. Did she want to change her career to be a singer? They didn't believe she could turn the world upside down. Even if she turned the world upside down, they had a way to turn the world upside down. Didn't she know whose show it was today? After a moment, with a dong, the whole stage suddenly darkened. Only a beam of light shone on the girl in the center of the stage in a white cheongsam. The girl narrowed her eyes and sat there quietly. The prelude of the music rang out. Thank you. The girl held the microphone, and her eyes fell on all the fans below the stage. She continued to sing softly, For the glory you gave me. I want to bow deeply to you, because the effort, some people can understand. The moment the girl's voice sounded, the fans below the stage suddenly narrowed their eyes. Thunderous applause, surging waves of emotions. This is the beginning, not the end. This is the beginning, not the end. What should I do in return? You seem to have a soft spot for me. With the girl's word by word, the big screen behind the girl suddenly lit up. A girl appeared on the big screen. The girl wore a bright red suit and smiled shyly as she signed several autographs for several fans. The girl said that this was the first time she signed autographs for fans. Thank you. Thank you for the glory you gave may used to be much more ordinary. You're the one who made me dream to the peak. The scene on the big screen changed. Ning Shi, dressed in a handsome man's suit, was surrounded by a large group of enthusiastic fans with other members of the crew. The girl raised her eyebrows and slightly smiled. She said to the security guards, Be gentle to my women, that minute in my heart. Too many feelings to describe. No matter how many twists and turns there are in the future, we will never relax. This proves that your choice is different from the rest. On the screen, the girl's face was full of tears as she walked alone in the heavy rain in the wild forest. Then, there were behind-the-scenes footage. Because the girl was too tired, she directly lay on the ground, sleeping with her clothes on. Her face was so beautiful. This is our glory. I already know where I should go. The girl wore a bright red gown and stood on the podium of the Palm D, or her eyes glistened with tears as she gave her acceptance speech. This is our glory. Ode to joy for you, every one of you, is my great hero. Accompanied by the girl's hoarse and choked voice, the image on the screen stopped, and what appeared were the tear-stained faces of the audience. The girl who was quietly singing on the stage had long since burst into tears. Chapter 1845. and the girl who was singing quietly on the stage had already burst into tears. The music stopped, and the lights were turned on. The girl got up and bowed deeply to all the people below the stage. Scenes of their memories with Ning Shi, pairs of red eyes, tear-stained faces in the crowd. It was not known who first spoke, breaking the silence. Dash Chiffon is everywhere. Brother, she is irreplaceable. This familiar slogan of the loyal fans was earth-shattering. In an instant, it ignited the fire buried in everyone's hearts. All of a sudden, like a tidal wave, everyone began to shout along with him. Chiffon is everywhere. Brother, she is irreplaceable. Chiffon is everywhere. Brother, she is irreplaceable. Chiffon is everywhere. Brother, she is irreplaceable. On the seat, Zhuangke, whose eyes were red from crying, suddenly stood up and took the lead to shout, "Remember your original intention. Accompany you to shine brightly." Instantly, hundreds of people responded to his call. Everyone began to shout, "Never forget your original intention. We will accompany you to shine brightly." Zhuang Rongguang, who was next to Zhuangke, wiped his tears and began to shout, "Without Ning Shi, there is no world. Without Ning Shi, there is no world. Without Ning Shi, there is no world. Without Ning Shi, there is no world." Even after Ning Shi bowed and left the stage, the neat and uniform voice still echoed above the huge exhibition hall for a long time. The excited fans watched the girl leave. That was their idol, their faith, and their youth. Even if she had left, so what? We are still here. We will always be here. Below the stage, a round-faced girl lay on her best friend's shoulder and cried until she was out of breath. Her best friend patted her shoulder gently and comforted her. Okay, brother, she is back. I'm not crying about this." "Then why are you crying? How could I be such a fool? How could I betray brother Shi and fall in love with Han Zixuan, that counterfeit? I don't deserve to be brother Shi's fan at all. Don't be sad. Anyway, there's so many people to be a fool with you." The round-faced girl burst into laughter and said with sparkling eyes, "After some people appeared again, I realized what is irreplaceable." At this moment, Han Zixuan's face was pale, and Zheng Anru regretted letting Ningxi sing. The two hosts couldn't get a word in, and they couldn't save the situation no matter what. The investors in the seats were completely stunned. In the backstage, Wang Haojuan looked at the fans who were still crying and shouting slogans crazily, and Han Zixuan's fans crazily shouting Ningxi's name. He was so angry that he almost fainted on the spot. He had spent so much money, invited so many guests and media, and created this venue. In the end, it became Ning Shi's solo comeback show. The new version of Under the Heavens was crushed into dust, and the fans returned to Ning Shi's embrace because of one song. He finally knew that Shengshi Entertainment was here to make trouble today, and it was a thorough smashing. The table had been smashed. The public relations director hid at the side, secretly looking at the excited fans outside, his face full of amazement. Sigh. He had originally thought that Han Zixuan was unsurpassable, but now that the main character had appeared, no matter how popular Han Zixuan was or how dazzling her appearance was, he actually felt that she was just so. How could a firefly compete with the sun and the moon? Chapter 1846. In the Arcade City. At this moment, countless passers-by were looking up at the live broadcast on the big screen. Like the audience in the live broadcast, their eyes were red and they couldn't help shouting slogans. In addition, there were restaurants, streets and alleys, companies and homes. Countless people watched the live broadcast. Countless fans saw Ning Shi, heard her singing, and heard the chorus of cheers. After Ning Shi left the venue, the live broadcast continued. "Ning Shi, are you going to make a comeback this time? Movie Queen Ning, it's been a year. Why did you choose to appear on such an occasion today? Is it just because you were invited by the organizer? You should know about Jiang Mai, right? We have been waiting for Jiang Mai's apology today. It is said that Jiang Mai was the one who was supposed to attend. Why did it turn out to be you? Is it because Jiang Mai refused to apologize? So, Shengshi asked you to come? You are in the limelight today. Aren't you trying to steal the limelight? Haha, you put it so nicely. What do you mean by being invited? Don't tell me you're here to cause trouble. Movie Queen Ning, could you please answer us? As soon as Ning Shi came out, she was immediately surrounded by the reporters. Facing a barrage of questions, Ning Shi suddenly stopped and glanced at the reporter who suspected that she was here to cause trouble. The reporter's hair stood on end from her stare, and he unconsciously took a step back. Then he saw Ning Shi slightly raise her eyebrows and then said quietly, "Who said, 'I'm not here to make trouble'?" All the reporters, Jiang Mai, who was lying on the wooden horse and watching the live broadcast attentively, puff, cough, cough, cough. The reporter, who deliberately wanted to embarrass Ning Shi, was speechless when he saw Ning Shi's calm look. He blushed and said, "You've gone too far. Do you think you can bully me just because you're senior? Don't you know how bad Jiang Mai's behavior is? How could you cover up for such a person? Goddess? You are just as bad as that scum. Did you record it?" Ning Shi didn't answer, but asked Su Tao. Su Tao nodded and shook his phone. "Done. Actually, there's no need to record it. Someone is doing the live broadcast. Everyone can see it." The reporter panicked when he heard that. "I'm just telling the truth. Can't you even tell the truth these days?" Su Tao chuckled. "Whether it's the truth or a rumor, the lawyer will tell you later." Ning Shi glanced at the reporters who kept asking questions and said flatly, "I already know what happened to Senior Jiang. I also know that the organizer originally arranged for Senior Jiang to make a public apology. Yes, I also think he should make a public apology." Hearing Ning Shi's words, the reporter thought she had admitted defeat and said smugly, "Movie Queen Ning, it's too late to change her mind now." The next second, Ning Shi's eyes sharpened and she suddenly changed the topic. "However, the organizer should apologize to Senior Jiang." The moment Ning Shi finished speaking, there was an uproar. What? Apologize to Jiang Mai? Was Ning Shi crazy? There were also a large number of reporters muttering to themselves. Ning Shi sounded so sure. Could it be that there was something hidden in this matter? After saying this, Ning Shi ignored the reporters' crazy questions and got into the car under the escort of Su Tao and bodyguards without saying a word. In the arcade, Jiang Mai stared blankly at the live broadcast above his head, looking at the domineering look of the girl supporting him and the way she raised her eyebrows and said, "Who said I'm not here to make a scene?" His heart was full of unspeakable feelings. Chapter 1847. In the car, Su Tao was in a great mood. "Ning Shi, the song you sang on the spot just now was really great. Together with the video materials I brought with me, it was a tear-jerker. Even I'm crying like an idiot. That saved me a lot of trouble. I was thinking about how to explain it to the fans." Su Tao said. Thinking of how Ning Shi talked back to the reporter in public, he looked a little worried and said in a euphemistic tone, "But, Ning Shi, what you said to the reporter just now was not appropriate, right? Jiang Mai is a tricky case. I understand that you want to help Jiang Mai, but it's easy to get yourself into trouble if you speak so confidently in front of so many people. They will apologize." "Ning," she said with certainty. After saying this, Ning Shi picked up her cell phone and made a call. Su Tao looked at her curiously, wondering who she was going to call. It would be useless to ask anyone to help Jiang Mai, right? That photo was the irrefutable evidence. Unless Shin Mian came forward to clarify in person. But how could that be possible? Shin Mian regarded that film as her lifeblood. It was also because of this that Jiang Mai hadn't said a word about it. Even if Ning Shi was friends with Shin Mian, she might not be able to persuade him. "Hello, Director Shin, long time no see." Hearing Ning Shi's voice, Su Tao immediately thought that she was really looking for Shin Mian. "You, Ning Shi?" At the other end of the phone, Shin Mian's voice sounded like she had seen a ghost. She couldn't even speak properly. "Oh my God, I just saw the live broadcast. I thought I was hallucinating. You're really back? Damn, it's been a year and 3 months. I thought you went back to your alien planet. Oh, it's rare that Director Shin still remembers me," Ning Shi said quietly. Shin Mian felt that Ning Shi's tone was a little strange. She coughed slightly. "Well, you call me for Jiang Mai." Ning Shi went straight to the point and said Jiang Mai's name. "Director Shun, Aren't you being a little too unreasonable? Shin Mian's tone was a little embarrassed. Oh, I know Jiamai was really wronged. But I'm a victim too. I had been trembling with fear and kept it a secret. How could I have known that the script would be exposed? I don't know if they told you, but my film's subject matter is indeed very sensitive. It definitely won't be released domestically. I'm going to participate in the International Film Festival. You see, I'm secretly going through the process of submitting my application for approval. If I get exposed here, the higher-ups will immediately order me to be banned and won't allow me to participate in international exhibitions. Who am I going to cry to then? By then, this film will have been shot for nothing. So you're just going to watch Jiamai bear all the consequences. Shin Mian was in a dilemma. Ningxi, I know you feel sorry for Jiamai. I worked with that guy for so many years, and we're old acquaintances. This time, I'm really grateful to him for being so righteous. After I finish the process and confirm the qualification for the exhibition, I'll tell you immediately. Okay? It'll be too late by then. But this is the only way now. What else do you want me to do? Shin Mian sounded helpless. Clear everything up now. My dear, aren't you making things difficult for me? If you clear it up now, my film will be completely ruined. I'll compensate you if it's ruined. Okay, I'll do it right now. Shin Mian changed her tone very quickly. Chapter 1848. Su Tao, who was standing next to them, heard their conversation and almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Damn it, this Shin Mian has no integrity at all. She changed her mind so quickly. She didn't expect Shin Mian to change her mind so quickly. Looking at her phone, the corners of her mouth twitched slightly. Ningxi, you said you would pay me a movie. I've already booked you as the female lead in my next movie. If I can't do it, I can book you as the male lead. You can't go back on your word. Shin Mian had been acting pitiful just now, but now she sounded like she couldn't wait for the movie to be ruined. Ningxi laughed. Got it. I've never gone back on my word. Ha ha. Okay, then I'll send it now. Just you wait. Shin Mian replied with a smile. Su Tao, who was watching from the side, was completely unprepared. That's it. Amazing, my queen. TSK, but Shin Mian got lucky. This is your first movie after your comeback, and you're giving it to him just like that. Let me tell you, after Shin Mian finished your Dream Seeker, although the two movies she made were not bad, they couldn't be compared to Dream Seeker. I think she was a little impatient because people kept saying that she couldn't surpass Dream Seeker. She actually took the risk and asked Han Zixuan to make a movie that she knew would be banned in China. She wanted to win an international award. Su Tao couldn't help but complain. At the same time, the International Convention and Exhibition Center was empty. Wang Haojuan, Zheng Anru, Han Zixuan, and a group of investors stared at each other backstage. The atmosphere was hazy. At this moment, besides Han Zixuan, the most embarrassed person at the scene was the well-dressed deputy general manager of Starlight Entertainment. Ning Shui tonight was an opportunity that she had been waiting for a long time. She wanted to appear at the finale and take the opportunity to clear her name. She even took the opportunity to invite the original cast as guests to attend. She didn't expect that Ningxi, who had disappeared for so long, would appear without warning like a ticking time bomb and explode in her world. Originally, with Ningxi's retirement, her past had been forgotten. With the success of her career, she even gradually began to walk the path of an inspirational goddess. Her identity as an adopted daughter was no longer criticized by others. Instead, she was pitted and understood by some people at the bottom. However, as soon as Ningxi appeared in front of everyone, the things that she hated the most and didn't want others to know about all came to the surface again. As long as Ningxi was still alive, everyone would firmly remember that Ningxi was the real daughter of a rich family, while she was just a fake who had occupied the nest. Even if she had everything now, she could not get rid of this damned shadow. Why didn't you investigate when Golden Era agreed? No matter how shrewd Ningxi was, she was already frustrated and her blood was boiling. I'm asking you, why didn't you investigate clearly? Wang Haojuan scolded angrily. The public relations director had a bitter look on his face. I've asked, and they said that they would definitely give us an explanation. How could I have known that Golden Era would do this? I never would have thought that Ningxi would show up. In their eyes, Golden Era was merely a remnant that was struggling at death's door. In fact, everyone did not even take Golden Era seriously. That was why they had let their guard down and caused such a huge mess. The PR director continued. Besides, judging from Ningxi's answer to those reporters, they clearly planned this to make trouble on purpose. Chapter 1849. Of course. Do I need you to tell me that? Wang Haojuan was furious. His company had been destroyed, and he had made a wedding dress for someone else. At this moment, one of the investors who had been whispering to each other stood up and said, "Ahem. Actually, judging from what happened today, we can still adjust the cast of this movie." Zheng Anru's expression changed. "What do you mean, Mr. Qian?" Mr. Qian, who had a beer belly, smiled and said, "You've seen Ningxi's popularity today. We've invested so much money in this movie, so of course we want to get the biggest return. Don't you think so?" Of course, Zheng Anru knew what he was implying. She said angrily, "Zi Xuan has already signed the contract. Do you still want to replace her? Replace her with a has-been actress who has been in seclusion for so long? Mr. Qian, Mr. Li, Mr. Cui, you don't know much about the entertainment industry, so you were deceived by what happened tonight. Ningxi only appeared because she hasn't been seen for a long time, so it's inevitable that her fans will be excited. Do you really think she can do it if we really let her take on the responsibility? She has no resources, no connections, and is still in Golden Era. How can she compete with Zi Xuan? She doesn't even have the right to carry Zi Xuan's shoes." After Zheng Anru's speech, Mr. Qian and the other investors looked at each other and hesitated. Wang Haojuan quickly took the opportunity to speak. "Everyone, please calm down. Manager Zheng was the most outstanding gold medal manager in the industry. Her words would never be wrong. We, Starlight, have invested the most this time. We won't cheat ourselves." At this time, a well-dressed middle-aged man next to him said angrily, "Don't think we don't know anything. It's easy to fool people with money. Even if Ningxi is completely unpopular now, her appearance today has completely ruined everything we've been building up for a long time. The movie The World will never be surpassed in the hearts of the audience. No matter how much money we throw at it, it's useless. We can't even surpass the original version. So how can we surpass Nine Heavens? Are you dreaming? Why? Because of your so-called popularity queen, Han Zixuan? Han Zixuan can't even control her own fans? Tonight, Han Zixuan's fans changed sides one after another, which undoubtedly gave Han Zixuan a heavy slap in the face. At this moment, Han Zixuan was so angry that her whole body trembled when the investor pointed at her nose and scolded her. Ever since she became popular, she had been chased and flattered wherever she went. When had she ever suffered this kind of vexation? Just when Han Zixuan was about to lose control of her emotions, Ningxi Wuo said, "Manager Li, you're wrong. You should know that not all of the fans here tonight are Zi Xuan's fans. At least half of them are die-hard fans of Jiangmai. With such a huge commotion tonight, is it real, or is it deliberately arranged and instigated by someone to achieve an ulterior motive or even to snatch a role? Boss Li is very familiar with the entertainment industry, so I'm sure you also know the twists and turns in this, right?" When Director Li heard Ningxi Luo's words, he frowned slightly. It was true that he could not guarantee the authenticity of her words, but based on his intuition, he did not think that the situation tonight could be faked. After all, even a bystander like him was moved and convinced by Ningxi. Chapter 1850. Wang Haojuan and Ningxi Luo finally managed to appease the investors, but something happened on the other side. The director of public relations, Lu Wenliang, ran over with his phone, sweating profusely. "Mr. Wang, Mr. Ning, what now?" Wang Haojuan asked impatiently. Ningxi Luo, Han Zixuan, and Zheng Anru frowned and looked at him when they saw his panicked expression. Under everyone's gaze, Lu Wenliang's pale face twisted. He swallowed and said with great difficulty, "Shun what?" Wang Haojun cursed. Shen Mian. Lu Wenliang finally said the name. He stole a glance at Han Zixuan and Zheng Anru before saying, Shen Mian just posted on Weibo to clarify that the photo of Zixuan and Jiang Mai kissing was a still photo. What did you say? That's impossible. Zheng Anru's expression changed. Lu Wenliang said bitterly, It's true. Shen Mian even released a detailed video to prove it. Is Shen Mian crazy? Does he know what he's doing? Zheng Anru screamed in disbelief. Han Zixuan's expression changed completely, but she said firmly, There must be some misunderstanding. Director Shen would never do that. Shen Mian was definitely the one who didn't want this incident to be exposed the most. That was why they leaked the photo without hesitation. Han Zixuan quickly took out her phone and opened Shen Mian's Weibo. The next second, she saw Shen Mian's Weibo post at the top of the post. Let me clarify something here. This photo is a still from my new movie, Canto Chaos, which I filmed not long ago. It was taken from a fake location. Because of my selfishness, I didn't come forward to explain it to you, even though I knew the truth. I'm deeply sorry that innocent people were affected and implicated. Below the post was a detailed comparison of the stills and the content of the movie, including some sensitive content. Han Zixuan was stunned. Shen Mian was indeed crazy, and he was quite crazy. Zheng Anru's face darkened and she said sternly, We can't let this go. What's wrong with Shen Mian? Even if he goes crazy, he can't drag Zixuan down with him. Doesn't he know how important this movie is to Zixuan? At this critical juncture, he actually exposed the movie on his own, and he even made it known to everyone. Are you afraid that the higher-ups won't ban you? Lu Wenliang coughed and said, I don't think it's that simple. Shen Mian wouldn't do this for no reason. Nonsense. Do I need you to tell me that? It must be Golden Era's doing. Wang Haojun roared. Lu Wenliang frowned. But with Golden Era's current strength, how could they convince Shen Mian to make such a huge sacrifice for Jiang Mai? Ningxi. At this time, Ningxi said a name with gloomy eyes. Although Zheng Anru hated Ningxi, she didn't agree with Ningxi's words. How can Ningxi be so important? Vice President Ning, you think too highly of her. Wang Haojun was overwhelmed. All right, stop talking nonsense. The problem now is how to solve the problem. Lu Wenliang, I'm asking you a question. You've caused so many problems one after another. What are you doing as a public relations director? No wonder people always say that you'll always be second to Liang Feixing. Chapter 1851. Lu Wenliang's face darkened. He was furious after being criticized for the whole day. What the fuck does it have to do with me? Liang Feixing is awesome. Go and poach her if you can. CEO Wang. If Zheng Anru hadn't taken the initiative to leak the stills without telling me, and even promised me that there wouldn't be any problems, would things have gotten to this point today? Since when did she put him, the director of public relations, in her eyes? Now that something has happened to her, what can I do? Lu Wenliang, what do you mean by that? It's because you can't keep up with Zixuan's publicity, so we have to find a way ourselves. You didn't say anything when you saw the effect was so good. You've already done it. What the fuck can I say? I told you that this kind of intensive publicity will make the fans feel disgusted. So we have to keep a distance and maintain a sense of mystery. Did you listen to me? I brought Zixuan up. Do I need you to teach me how to do things? What the fuck do you know about publicity? Just as Starlight was being torn apart at the same time in Shengshi Entertainment. A group of interns and artists who had nothing to do in the company had just finished watching the live broadcast of the world. They were so excited that they were about to jump up and down. Whether it was those who were close to Ningxi or those who disliked him in the past, they were all excited when they saw Ningxi. If Ningxi's comeback could save Shengshi, then they could be saved too. Oh my god, Brother Shi, it's really my brother Shi. Brother Shi is back. Doesn't that mean Shengshi can be saved? That might not be the case. Shengshi is different from the past. Besides, Brother Shi has been in seclusion for a year. So what? Brother Shi had a great time smashing things up today. He completely crushed Han Zishuan. It's just a matter of time now. Just as the group of young artistes were discussing excitedly, someone suddenly stared blankly ahead and exclaimed in surprise. Then everyone saw Su Tao eagerly leading a person into the company. The person beside Su Tao was actually the person they were talking about. Brother Shi. Brother Shi, we missed you so much. Where have you been for the past year? Brother Shi, you're really back. Brother Shi, has your agent become Brother Tao? Ning Shi looked at those unfamiliar and familiar faces, smiled and greeted them one by one, answering everyone's questions. Yes, Brother Tao is indeed my manager now. Holy shit, it can't be. Brother Shi, you have to think about it carefully. What if he gets led astray? The people around looked at Su Tao and sighed. However, their tone was full of ridicule and there was no malice. The corner of Su Tao's mouth twitched. Hey, you bunch of brats. What nonsense are you spouting in front of my queen? Are you trying to rebel? The crowd roared with laughter. Just when Ning Shi was surrounded by everyone's enthusiasm, a person suddenly rushed in from the crowd. Then, without saying anything, he dragged Ning Shi away like a robber. Brother Shi, who is this? How did this happen? Stop him. Ahem, it's nothing, it's Senior Jiang. Su Tao's foot was about to kick that person. Ning Shi, who was swept away, hurriedly turned back and explained. Everyone, Su Tao, the missing person whom Lei Ming had knelt down and cried for his father, had returned. Chapter 1852. In a deserted corridor, the two of them stared at each other. In the end, Ning Shi looked at Jiang Mai, who was like a big man scratching his feet. She chuckled and said, Tut, time is really a butcher's knife. Looking at the girl's bright smile, Jiang Mai's heart beat like a drum. All the blood in his body seemed to rush to his brain. He was stunned. He hadn't seen her since Ning Shi fell into a coma, and he saw her in the military sanatorium. It had been a year. The girl in front of him suddenly reminded him of the first time he saw her in China. It was the feeling of first love again. Jiang Mai rubbed his messy hair irritably and pressed his wildly beating heart. Why is it beating so fast? What a loser. After calming down, Jiang Mai gnashed his teeth and said, Ning Xiaoxi, you bastard. Who are you calling a pig? I've been handsome for too long, and I want to experience the feelings of you mortals. Can't I? Ning Shi held back her laughter and nodded. Senior Jiang, you're really outstanding. Jiang Mai was dazzled by the girl's smile. He cursed in a low voice and looked away. When did you wake up? Ning Shi hesitated. She coughed and answered, Well, I've been awake for a while. Hearing this, Jiang Mai was furious. Damn it, you've been awake for a while and you didn't tell me? Ning Xiaoxi, do you think I'm your brother? Ning Shi chuckled. If I told you earlier, you wouldn't be so surprised to see me. Surprise my ass. Jiang Mai was so scared that he almost fell on the ground when he saw him on TV. Besides, I don't think of you as my brother, but I do think of you as my nephew. Jiang Mai's face darkened. Nephew my ass. Jiang Mai seemed to have thought of something and suddenly fell silent for a moment. After a while, he said, I saw the live broadcast and Shun Mian's Weibo. Jiang Mai looked a little annoyed. I don't need a woman to clean up the mess for me. What did you promise Shin Mian, that old fox? Ning, she said carelessly. I just promised him a show. Jiang Mai's face changed. Damn it. No wonder. This old fox is robbing us. I was the one who suggested it. After all, I still have to film after my comeback. I had a good time working with director Shun. Hearing Ning Shi's explanation, Jiang Mai still didn't look too good. Ning Shi smiled and said, Senior Jiang, when I first entered this industry, I know that although you didn't say it and always made trouble for me, in fact, you helped me a lot in secret. And this time you did it because of me. Let me pay you back, Senior Jiang. Jiang Mai blushed and turned his head away awkwardly. Scoundrel, why are you being so sentimental? I'm getting goosebumps. After saying that, Jiang Mai murmured suspiciously, How do you know those photos are fake? Lei Ming told you? Ning Shi raised her eyebrows. Do I need Brother Lei to tell me this? Then how did you know? After all, the evidence was irrefutable. Even a large number of his fans left him after seeing the photos. Ning, she spread out her hands. I think, although you have no integrity, you are not that desperate. Jiang Mai, who has no integrity. Chapter 1853. While Jiang Mai and Ning, she were talking, a tall and strong figure suddenly rushed over at the speed of light. My God, you're finally back. Oh my God, how did you end up like this? If your fans see this. Lei Ming looked at Jiang Mai's miserable appearance and felt very distressed. You make a living with your face, my God. What if they saw it? Jiang Mai narrowed his eyes and said threateningly, Ahem, I'll still love you if they saw it. Lei Ming quickly corrected himself. Then, Lei Ming immediately said to Jiang Mai joyfully, have you seen Weibo? Shen Mian publicly clarified the truth for you. Now the internet is in an uproar. Everyone is apologizing to you and praising you for being a man. Your fans are blaming themselves and crying bitterly because they misunderstood you. Their hearts are broken because of the grievances you have suffered. And what's more, Director Liang arranged professional internet water army to guide the public opinion. Now all the spearhead is aimed at Han Zixuan. Aimed at her, Jiang Mai raised his eyebrows. Yes, think about it. Shen Mian covered up the photos so tightly. Who was the one who leaked the photos? Ning, she said, of course it's the one who benefited the most. Yes, isn't it Han Zixuan who benefited the most? Lei Ming said. Jiang Mai snorted. Will the fans believe it? That woman is not good at acting, but she is good at deceiving her fans. Lei Ming said confidently. With Director Liang behind the scenes, they have to believe it. Anyway, as long as someone suspects it, it's enough. Most importantly, Han Zixuan was definitely involved in this matter. After all, she was the main lead of this movie and one of the insiders. Yet, for her own benefit, she didn't say anything even though she knew the truth. She allowed everyone to misunderstand your relationship and even allowed the organizers to ask you to publicly apologize to her. This was completely a problem with her character. She was simply shameless. At least the scandal between you two can be cleared up. Hearing the result of the thing he cared about the most, Jiang Mai's face became much better. Lei Ming quietly whispered in their ears, It's not over yet. I just have the latest news. Shen Mian's Weibo post has garnered a lot of attention. His superiors have invited him to have tea with them. There's an 80% chance that the film will fail. Han Zixuan has reaped what she sowed this time. Ning Shi, thank you so much this time. Lei Ming thanked her with tears in his eyes. He almost put Ning Shi on a pedestal. He thought he was definitely going to die this time. He didn't expect that after Ning Shi came out, all the life-threatening problems were solved in just a few hours. Ning Shi glanced at Jiang Mai with a faint smile and then turned to Lei Ming. Brother Ming, you're welcome. We're family. Lei Ming thought Ning Shi meant that they were all from the same company, so he hurriedly echoed, Yes, 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 we're all family. Jiang Mai, Muyi, although the fans love you, ahem. I think you should take a bath first. I'll go to Director Liang's place first to discuss the following matters with him. After Lei Ming finished speaking, he ran away excitedly. Strike the iron while it's hot. In the past, Jiang Mai's image was too frivolous and immature. This incident was very beneficial to his transformation. Nowadays, there were more and more young men. At Jiang Mai's current age, he should have changed. He couldn't help but admire Ning Shi's good luck again. Who's family with you? As soon as Lei Ming left, Jiang Mai immediately argued with Ning Shi with a dark face. Ning Shi proudly took out the wedding ring on her neck and said word by word, Be a good boy and call me aunt. Chapter 1854. Seeing that ring, Jiang Mai's blood was stuck in his throat. The fact that this scoundrel had repeatedly told him that he would never become his aunt was still fresh in his mind. As a result, he couldn't bear to look back on the past. After Ning Shi finished showing off, she carefully put the ring back and said in the tone of an elder, Forget it, nephew. I'll give you some time to adapt. Jiang Mai was speechless. Adapt my ass. At the same time, in the Su family's house, Ning Shual had been in a meeting for the whole night and had contacted people everywhere. When she got home from the company, her luxurious dress was all wrinkled. Today was supposed to be her most perfect day. It was supposed to be her final victory. But now, in a short span of one night, everything that was originally perfect and smooth to the point of perfection was beginning to crumble. It was a terrible feeling. Ningxi, Ningxi, Ningxi. This nightmarish name appeared again. Shuelo, you're back. Zheng Minjun, who was sitting on the sofa in the living room, saw Ning Shuo and walked over with a smile. Mom, you're not asleep yet? Ning Shuo forced herself to greet her. I was worried and waited for you to come back. Zheng Minjun frowned when she saw Ning Shuo's expression. Why you look so pale? Don't you have an important social event today? Is there something wrong? Mom, I'm fine. I'm just a little tired. Sit down and have a rest. I've asked the kitchen to make some chicken soup. I'll ask the servant to get you a bowl. Zheng Minjun said with concern. Zheng Minjun's relationship with Ning Shuo had been stiff after the fact that she was an adopted daughter was exposed. However, Zheng Minjun's attitude towards Ning Shuo naturally changed after Ningxi's disappearance. She even treated Ning Shuo better than before. It was not an exaggeration to say that Zheng Minjun was obedient to Ning Shuo. Zhao Shanshan walked downstairs leisurely when she saw how attentive Zheng Minjun was to Ning Shuo. She had a sarcastic expression on her face and said in a good mood, Hee, tired? I think she's mentally tired. After all, the real Phoenix Ning, she is back. Her dream of flying up the tree branch is shattered again. Over the past year, Ning Shuo had been doing better and better, gaining the favor of her parents-in-law. She and Su Sun had been suppressed to the point where they didn't even have the time to breathe. They had to take a detour whenever they saw Ning Shuo. But now Ningxi was back. This was simply the best news in the world. What? Ningxi is back. Zheng Minjun's expression changed when she heard this. Ning Shuo glared at Zhao Shanshan sinisterly and frowned. As soon as that bitch Ning, she came back, even Zhao Shanshan dared to talk to her like this. Zheng Minjun knew that after Ningxi came back, she might have some thoughts that she shouldn't have. Zheng Minjun quickly came back to her senses. She ordered the servants to bring chicken soup to the kitchen, as she said. So what if he's back? What's there to fuss about? She's a kept woman. After analyzing the pros and cons, she would not offend Ning Shuo for Ningxi. Zhao Shanshan panicked when she saw Zheng Minjun's attitude. Mom, what kept woman? Those are all rumors. Ningxi is the granddaughter of the Zhuang family. How could she do such a thing? Chapter 1855. Zheng Minjun didn't take it seriously. Flies don't bite seamless eggs. How could there be such a rumor if there wasn't something between them? Tell me, why did she disappear for so long? Zheng Minjun sounded very sure. She had inquired about it, and even if photos as proof. She was sure that Ning, she had no contact with the Zhuang family in the past year. If Ning, she really had something to do with the Zhuang family, how could she be willing to be a sugar daddy? Sure enough, the Zhuang family didn't even acknowledge Zhuang Lingyu, let alone Ningxi. Seeing Zheng Minjun's disbelief, Zhao Shanshan stamped her feet in anger. Damn it! Zheng Minjun had been completely brainwashed by Ning Shuo. Ning Shuo looked at Zhao Shanshan's exasperated expression, and her lips curled into a smile. Trying to sow discord? That was easy. She had completely convinced Zheng Minjun that Ning, she was a sugar daddy and had nothing to do with the Zhuang family. She had said that even if Ning she came back, nothing would change. Everything would still belong to her. As for those small disturbances, although they did annoy her, it only took her a little effort to suppress them. How could the current Shengshi entertainment go against her? No matter what Zhao Shanshan said, Zheng Minjun had completely ignored her. She took the chicken soup from the servant, walked to Ning Shuo, and comforted her lovingly. Shuo, don't be affected by those unlucky people. Come on, drink the chicken soup. You need to nourish your body. I'm still waiting to hold a fat grandson. Thank you, Mom. Ning Shuo looked touched, but she sneered in her heart. They had been married for more than a year, and she still couldn't get pregnant. If she hadn't been in charge of the Ning Corporation's finance, and if history and Starlight weren't thriving, Zheng Minjun wouldn't have been nice to her. By the way, Ning Shua took out a red invitation card from her bag and handed it to Zheng Minjun. Mom, are you free tomorrow? I got the invitation from Tianquan Manor. Let's go and meet Mrs. Li if you are free. Really? Zheng Minjun was overjoyed at the unexpected good news as she received it. Recently, it was known that Minister Li and Madam are coming to the capital. How many high-ranking officials and noble families are trying to find a way to meet them? Shualuo, how did you get it? It's nothing. I just relied on my connections, Ning Shuo replied. Zheng Minjun grinned from ear to ear. My daughter-in-law is indeed capable. The day before yesterday, even Madame Xiao complained to me that she couldn't get an invitation. Every day, she would brag to me that her brother was some high-ranking official in the province, but I couldn't do anything about it. Zhao Shanshan stood at the side. As a daughter-in-law, when she heard Zheng Minjun say that her daughter-in-law was capable, she felt as though she was slapping herself in the face. That's right, Ning Shualuo's daughter-in-law was capable, but she was just a useless trash. What made you so happy? At this time, Su Hongguang also walked out of the house. Zheng Minjun immediately took the invitation letter and went to show off. Hongguang, Shualuo got department head Li's wife's invitation letter. Really? Su Hongguang's face was also full of surprise. If we can build a relationship with department head Li, it will be of great benefit to our Yifeng Corporation. Any random project in a country would be a huge project worth billions of dollars. That's right. Shualuo is indeed capable. Now in the entire capital, who doesn't envy our family for having such a capable daughter-in-law? Zheng Minjun said with a proud face. Shualuo, it's been hard on you. Su Hongguang's face was also full of gratification. Zhao Shanshan saw that her father-in-law and mother-in-law were all surrounding Ning Shualuo. Her face was extremely ugly, and she was so angry that she turned around and left. Chapter 1856. The next morning. Dear Town. When Ning, she woke up naturally, there was no one beside her bed. However, there was a tempting fragrance of millet porridge coming from downstairs. Although she had officially come back, she was not that busy. Jiang Mai's matter had been solved, so there was no need to worry about the rest. You're awake. Come and have breakfast. Lu Tingxiao had prepared breakfast, as usual. Under the morning light, the way the man asked her to eat with an apron made her excited. Although she was good at cooking, she cooked less and less when she was with Lu Tingxiao. Lu Tingxiao's cooking skills were getting better and better, even improving by leaps and bounds. Especially after she woke up, she almost never entered the kitchen. Xiao Bao carefully picked up the bowl of porridge and walked to her. Mom, Xiao Bao will feed you. Ning, she quickly said, Thank you, Xiao Bao. Mom can eat by herself. But Mom's hand is injured. Xiao Bao looked at Ning Shi's wrist, which was still red and swollen. Speaking of this, Ning Shi glanced at Lu Tingxiao guiltily. What she didn't know was that she had only casually performed a few tricks on the stage last night. She really didn't feel anything on the spot, but when she came back at night, her wrist was actually swollen. Fortunately, it was not a serious problem, but she was still taught a lesson by the father and son. Okay, thank you, Xiao Bao. Ning Shi didn't dare to say anything and cooperated obediently. It was the weekend. After breakfast, Ning Shi was playing with Xiao Bao when a guest suddenly came to the door. Seeing the guest, Ning, she was surprised. Madame Zhuang, why are you here? Meng Linlang looked at the girl in front of her, her face full of love and concern. I came to see you. I wanted to come for a long time, but I was afraid to disturb you. No, Madame Zhuang, please come in, Ning Shi said quickly. Hearing Ning Shi call her Madame Zhuang again, Meng Linlang looked dissatisfied and said angrily, Xiaoxi, what did you call me just now? Ning Shi was at a loss. She had already learned from Lu Tingxiao that the Zhuang family wanted to recognize her, but she was not used to it. It was fine with Zhuang Ku-er and Zhuang Rongguang. Anyway, they were friends, but it seemed a little awkward when it came to elders. She was used to being alone and didn't really know how to get along with elders. Just when Ning, she didn't know what to do, a crisp voice came from behind. Great aunt. When Meng Lin Lang saw the cute little guy behind Ning, she couldn't keep pretending to be angry anymore. She squatted down and hugged the little guy with a smile. Hey, Xiaobao, you're such a good boy. Although she didn't really like Lu Tingxiao's illegitimate son at first, because she was angry at him, she couldn't help but like him more and more as they got to know each other. At the same time, she heard a man's deep voice. Auntie. Ning, she looked at Xiaobao, and then at Lu Tingxiao. She was dumbfounded. The two of you changed your tune a little too fast. However, seeing how natural they were, she guessed that they had been doing this since she was unconscious. Damn it. Since Big Steam Bun and Little Steam Bun had changed sides, Ning, she couldn't be pretentious anymore. She could only call out to Lu Tingxiao, Aunt. Good. Meng Lin Lang was finally satisfied. Chapter 1857. After entering the room, Meng Lin Lang and Lu Tingxiao chatted happily. Ning, she couldn't help sighing with emotion. Tut, a sweet talker could win the favor of the elders. Look at her sweetheart. She was so obedient that she could call her aunt whenever she wanted. Unlike some people, she hadn't even heard her call her aunt until now. After chatting for a while, Meng Lin Lang called Ning she aside to talk to her. Meng Lin Lang immediately became serious, took Ning Shi's hand, and asked seriously, Cici, let me ask you, how do Yan Rui and Lu Chongshan treat you? Now, she didn't have to worry about Lu Tingxiao, but she was still worried about the Lu family. After all, Cici had married Lu Tingxiao. After the marriage, it was no longer just a matter between the two of them. Cici would have to face the whole Lu family in the future. If Yan Rui and Lu Chongshan still treated her like before, how could she live in the Lu family? Cici had finally escaped from death, and she would never allow her to be wronged again. They are very nice to me. Ning, she hurriedly replied. Meng Lin Lang looked a little doubtful. Really? Don't speak up for them. Ning, she said helplessly. It's true. They specially called me to the old mansion and had a long talk with me. They even apologized to me and have been very nice to me since then. Meng Lin Lang saw that Ning, she didn't seem to be lying, so she was a little relieved and snorted. That's good. The Lu family still has some conscience. Ning, she nodded repeatedly. Yes, Aunt, don't worry. Meng Lin Lang's heart almost melted when she heard the girl's sweet words. She asked lovingly, Cici, what are your plans for the future? Work or family? Ning, she thought for a moment. I've thought about this before. Originally, after I woke up this time, I was going to retire. I wanted to spend more time with Tingxiao and Xiaobao. I've always been busy with work and haven't had much time to spend with them. Tingxiao has always supported me and allowed me to do whatever I wanted. Meng Lin Lang nodded understandingly. What happened then? I heard from Ku, and Rongwang that you're going to come back? Yes. Ning, she said, because something happened later, and it was all because of me. Now the most difficult thing has been solved. Although I'm going to make a comeback, I won't work as hard as before. I can take care of both my work and my family. Meng Lin Lang nodded in agreement. That's good too. Actually, I don't agree with you completely retiring. Women should have their own careers. Meng Lin Lang then asked the question that concerned her the most. When is your wedding with Lu Tingxiao? When would their relationship be made public? Xiaoxi, don't blame me for meddling too much. Although it was a special situation before, you two got married too hastily. Marriage is a big event for a woman's life. Ning, she blushed. In fact, Lu Tingxiao proposed to me not long after I met him, but he didn't announce it until now because of my career. But it's different now. When I first debuted, my fan base wasn't stable. My marriage had a huge impact on my career. Now, when my comeback plan is almost completed, I can announce the news of my marriage. It shouldn't be too long. I also want to be with him openly. After all, her sweetheart had been waiting for this title for a long time. You're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.